Hey, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Starbase Weekly, episode 77. My name is Mauricio, and I'll pass this to Indian, sir.
Hey everyone, welcome. We have flyover photos, we have ground photos, we have over 500 photos to show you. Take it away, PK. Or not.
Maybe he left us.
Go for
Excuse
it,
me.
Zach.
Well, hello everyone. This is Zach, and welcome to the Starbase Weekly Live Stream. Hopefully, we'll have PK here in a little bit. I think he might be muted or something like that. But anyways, happy to be here with you all today. We have an awesome show for you all. Starbase has been super busy over the last, really month and a half, but especially over the last week, I would say, which is kind of crazy considering I feel like it's just been super busy in general, and to have it like reach another level is pretty awesome. It really feels like 2 years ago when they were building the launch mount right now, as far as like how much movement there is with large equipment and large items arriving at Starbase. And yeah, we got a lot to cover this week. So with that being said, I think we will hop into today's show. Did we ever get PK with us or no?
Test 1, 2.
He has arrived.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Hey, Zach, how you doing? Mauricio, Indy, good to see you today or hear you today.
Thanks for joining us, PK. We appreciate you.
Yeah, I am doing all right. It's been a long week for me. I actually haven't had a chance to go through all of these photos yet, so it's going to be for me a little bit of like seeing this for the first time with all of you. So that'll be fun.
It's always
With
fun.
that being said, sorry, go ahead.
I was saying it's always fun.
Yeah, usually I like to have some time to review everything so I know what I'm looking for, and I'm not like, moving across the screen super fast like I usually do when I'm scanning through things. So we'll try and take it slow. I do have a little bit of glitching issue going on with my setup right now, just because I haven't had time to fully dial that in since I switched over to this new setup. So yeah, bear with me, everyone, but we'll have a great show today. So let's go ahead and go over to the Massey site where we always start at. Man, I just really love looking at this in comparison to what it was about, like a year and a half ago.
Yeah, it's amazing how this has transpired from a gun range to a rocket ship building facility in such a short time.
Yeah, I mean, when they first said that this was going to be, um, a test site, I guess, it was kind of hard to imagine a little bit just because of the, I don't know, randomness of it. It was really kind of just it looked more like a junkyard at the time. But now it's really starting to look kind of official. It looks actually much better than suborbital pad A and B, in my opinion. So to me, this is like more like the official testing site almost for suborbital testing, but without static fire capability, obviously. But um, yeah, it's amazing seeing all this expansion over here. We have the booster test stand um, getting closer to completion. And I think there's something we should know about Massey's in general. So, and I'm not sure if you guys mentioned it last week, but there is a new 2,000-foot TFR over the area. So I think that's definitely going to have an effect on being able to fly drones over this, right, Mauricio?
Well, I mean, I wasn't. I don't want to say we're directly affected. Of course, we're not gonna fly drones, but we still got these views from 10,000 feet. So
Right.
I'm all good. I mean, everything's. And it's what do we expect? They're expecting more serious type of testing here because of that, right? The 2,000 foot TFR. That's usually good indicator that there's gonna be. It's gonna become more active than it was before, right?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, I think it's just a standard thing that they want to have over their test sites, especially. I mean, honestly, I'm kind of surprised that they haven't had it until now. Um, and it's not like they're going to step into different kind of testing other than, they will be doing cryo-tested boosters here, but, it's not like they're doing static fires or anything like that. So it's a bit interesting. But I mean, just in general, I guess having clearance over the area kind of, I mean, it's probably ideal. And, you know, especially just having random drones fly over, you know what I mean? Like, you are kind of I would say more like on the professional side where you're out there every week, not really actually flying over the property, but skirting around it. I feel like random people coming out there doing the same thing may not have that same kind of caution and actually like fly over the facility. So it's probably good to just, as much as I hate to say it, rule out that possibility of something like that happening by throwing that TFR up at 2,000 feet. So, um,
And
yeah,
they're also playing with explosives and high pressures here too that could eject some materials.
good point. Yeah, I'm surprised they didn't raise that TFR before they actually did that FTS test. It was only over this last week where they finally did that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, it's going to be exciting. I mean, we have just to see even boosters coming down this road is going to be pretty crazy. Um, we are nearing completion, I would say, on this. Um, well, the base of this booster cryo station, and this is actually pretty cool because you know we haven't seen a ground level booster testing station other than the one at the launch site, and arguably that one's kind of like janky in a way. It's kind of hoses that are hanging off of a cage essentially. So this one is going to actually have a full booster QD. I don't think it'll be. I don't know if it'll be retractable or not. We haven't really seen the other hardware that's going to go with this yet, but it will look a lot more similar to what we see with the ship testing station, which actually has like a disconnect attached to it for all of the hoses and whatnot.
Yeah, well, A and B have been evolving over the last 3, 4 years, and what we see now is, they're rebuilding. It looks like they're rebuilding A, and this is a start from scratch with the latest and greatest, right?
Yeah, definitely. The I mean, the layout of this kind of confused me at first with it being like four pads right here. Or, but I guess with the way that the booster transport stand actually sits, this actually kind of makes sense. Um, and it's so weird to see it like this, though. It's just a odd shape for those. Are they
Embeds.
embeds right here?
Yep.
Yeah,
Embeds.
yeah. And I mean, while we're on that topic, I don't know if this is related to it or not, but we have a pretty large piece over here. Um, do you have any idea what this is? This is my first time seeing it, so I haven't had a chance to form any thoughts about it. Have you
Well,
guys had any thoughts on this week?
I think Thomas was talking about it being part of a part of the booster, some sort of test stand for puck shucking or something similar to that.
puck shucking. You're absolutely right. That's what he says. He says that it's, they're equal distance. Initially, we saw a little hexagon, I think it was last week or 2 weeks ago, where it didn't have those walls or anything like that. And then they picked up those walls and put them on their side. And now they've formed this thing, this hexagon structure that we see. I understand that it's about 8.6 meters, the diameter. And it's got it's a 12-sided honeycomb shape with the circular cutouts. So yeah, he says it's for booster. I guess we will see.
Yeah, I mean it's pretty interesting. It would make sense as far as the puck shucking, since they already have the equivalent for the ship over here, which still baffles me a little bit. I'm wondering how they're going to get the ship on top of this. I guess we're probably maybe still expecting a crane to arrive at the Massey site here soon.
I think there is a crane too. I don't know if it's big enough to pick up a ship, but there's a larger crane towards the entrance. I understood. Yeah, that one.
I don't think this is large enough to lift a ship.
Okay.
What do you guys think?
Yeah, I just don't think there's enough counterweight on the back end of it to do the job.
There's no way
The booms, I don't think the boom's high enough either.
Yeah, it just doesn't seem like it's. I mean, all the cranes they use to lift the ships are pretty large cranes, and this doesn't look like it's ready to do something like that. But I had a feeling that this was actually here just to lift these tanks that are going to be coming in, because they may have to. Sorry, with Grover being pretty much at the launch site right now, I don't think. Oh, actually, sorry, Grover's outside of the in the ring yard right now, I believe. Actually, not
Yep.
the
Build
not
site.
the launch site, but it seems like all of the other cranes are tied up, and so I think this is maybe actually related to placing these tanks once they're ready to do that. But yeah, I mean, it doesn't seem like this is large enough to lift a ship on there.
Fair enough. I just knew there was a new crane.
Yeah, and on that note, where we're talking about these tanks over here, we have these pads that have been completed for the two tanks. I don't know if they can fit 3 across this. I don't think they're set up to do that. I think it'll probably just be two of these tanks that are sitting up here. PK, do you think these can share those pads?
I don't think we're going to get 3 in there unless there's a joint mount that spans all 4 pads that has 3 cradles in it. Otherwise, it's just going to be 2, I believe. But it does appear that they are clearing off to the right side there. But to do what? Probably just running some
You mean right
plumbing.
here?
Yeah, right in there.
Could that just be so they can bring the tanks in here?
That could be. That could easily be. I mean, that's the easiest way to get them down there.
Yeah, it looks like they've also completely removed everything that was going over to the cryo station over here for the can crusher. So looks like they're reconfiguring pretty much everything over here. I wonder if they'll just bring it over through this way instead of down how they have it right here. It would kind of make a little more sense, I guess. But yeah, the whole layout of this is a little bit peculiar just because I guess we're expecting all of this to be liquid nitrogen on this side. And I mean, I guess we don't know what they have over here, but I'm assuming it's also liquid nitrogen. Yeah, so I mean, it's kind of interesting just how they are going to have them split over here instead of just throwing all of them side by side, kind of like they're about to do at the launch site. But yeah, moving on, we kind of skipped over the. Well, I did touch on it briefly. Let me see if I have a better image of this. But yeah, having this set up over here, it looks like we're probably going to expect one of the ships to move out here soon. Would be the next in line? Is that S-27? That's waiting on a cryo test?
Yeah, because 25 is out on the launch site at Pad B, and 26, I understood, is not going to fly, potentially.
Well, 26 has motors on it, and it's on the stand and being held up and being worked on right now, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. So 27 would be the next one to come out here, I guess. And I mean, with them nearing completion on this, I would expect that they're preparing for that to happen soon. Um, I don't know if we have any. I'm guessing they will probably have a road closure for that, or did they have a road closures for moving ships last time?
They're supposed to,
Not
but
sure.
they tend to do those intermittent ones, and then they do them in the middle of the night or early in the morning. So it seems like they can more or less get away with it.
Right. Yeah. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, they're really moving road closures, so they don't really, uh, unless they're going to tie up the road all the way from Brownsville, they don't do anything with those for the most part. It's just move it up the road at night and temporary road slow up is what I think they referred to it as.
Yeah, whereas they used to like knock out the entire thing and have the road closed for hours, now they don't seem to do that.
Though with
yeah.
the construction on 4 at this point, I'm not sure they can get the STMPs, a double wide SPNT up there.
Well, they managed to get those large tanks that came in yesterday, right? Matter of fact, let me go ahead and show that really quick because that was a really cool thing from this week. Um, and I don't think they're related to Massey's, but it's still a good thing to show since we're on the topic. Um, let me go ahead and swap over there. So this is from Starship Gazer. He posted this last night. He was actually out there on site when these tanks arrived, and I, for some reason, thought that these potentially could go to Massey's. I don't think that anymore, but there's lots of different locations where these can go right now. Even though the launch site is kind of where we're most expecting them at, but I'm not 100% certain of that yet. So,
The one of them's being lifted at the launch site as we speak.
oh really? So it's already at the launch site.
Yeah.
Lovely. Well, I missed that. I'm a little bit out of the loop right now, but this is really, really cool right now seeing these up close. Starship Gazer actually got like all up in between them. Hold on, let me get a little further in here.
You can clearly see how these tanks were vertically mounted where at the other location at the steel mill, because you can see how they just cut the end of the bottom off of these when they were before they were transported. That's a pretty rough cut on the end there.
You're on the bottom side over here. Hold on, let me
On the right hand side there.
see if I can get a little bit closer to it right here, like right in this area.
That's a really rough, just a torch cut on both tanks.
Yeah, seeing these now, they don't look that much larger than the two methane tanks at the launch site.
But it looks like these are going to mount on. These are the new water tanks for the between the OLIT and the 4 that are there.
Yeah, that was I would say a little bit unexpected. Obviously, we're definitely expecting two more tanks over there, but we will. I guess we'll talk about that here in a bit when we get to the launch site. But yeah, I mean, we never knew what kind of commodities these were, right? Like I guess we kind of assumed that they were cryo tanks.
Well, had something to do with the production of steel. So oxygen. But I don't know enough on steel process to understand what cryos they would use.
Right. Man, yeah, these things are pretty large. But seeing them, if they're used for water, that is very interesting because that's a really large volume of water that we're talking about
Well, and
between those and the other four tanks.
they have a lot of use for water too.
Well, I mean, with them being located near the launch site, um, or sorry, near the actual launch tower and being used for that water cooled system. I mean, I think that's just a lot more water than we were expecting in some ways. Initially we were expecting them to build an actual large water tank over there, but when they said that, when we actually figured out that it was a water cooled steel sandwich type situation instead of an actual deluge system, I think, at least me, I kind of expected the volume of water to drop a little bit of what we were expecting to see on that. But adding these in here, that's way more water than I guess I was initially expecting.
Why would you think that it would drop? Only because of the method of delivery?
Um, I, I mean, being a water cooled steel plate versus uh, having essentially a waterfall of water like they have in most deluge systems, I guess I just expected the volume to be different. So yeah, kind of I don't know, just different designs altogether. I just expected that it may use less water overall, but it looks like that's not the case. So
You still
Yeah,
might be right. You never know.
I mean, if you look at the Saturn and the space shuttle and the Saturn 9, or I'm sorry, the Falcon 9, they all use large diameter volumes, pipes with large discharge amounts versus smaller nozzles like we're going to see here. So that's a different application, which might require less water, but ends up with enough of a buffer to do its job
right.
more efficiently, less water.
And sorry when I go between some of these images, it's going to get slightly blurry. I'm still trying to find a better app for doing what I'm doing right here because the regular photo viewing apps on Macs are not the greatest for what I do. So sorry about that in advance. But I guess one more thing to point out before we leave the Massey site, unless you guys notice anything else, it looks like they are about to bring this road down to the front right here. Um, so I think they may finish paving all of this all the way down to the entrance, or just right here, not the actual entrance to the which road is this? It's not.
Massey's Way.
Yeah, Massey's Way. Okay. Yeah, it's shaping up pretty nice down here, though. Um, before I do switch over to Sanchez, because there's a lot to cover there. Oh, actually, sorry. There's another odd frame up here, which I'm not sure if this is actually related to that QD setup or not.
So that's what
But
we're thinking. We're thinking that and the one to the right of it, that black structure to the right of it, is for booster QD. Because one thing that was noted, and I believe it was Thomas who said this, on the image that you were just showing, that flat square, now rectangular shape, it's wider than it normally a ship's piece would be. So we definitely think it's for booster QD. Both that now flipped over that looks like an L. It almost looks like a Tetris piece, and then the one to the left of it as well.
Yeah, I think
yeah,
that the reddish one on the left is going to be the work platform that goes around the ship QD. So it looks like the ship
right,
QD fits in the center.
So you
right,
are
yeah,
spot on with your thoughts there, friend.
that would make a lot of sense. Because they're usually constantly up there, working on that connection, and since it's not an actual uh, like motor, like hydraulic actuated QD for this, it would make sense that they would actually need to get up there and be able to be sitting there as they're moving it in position. So, and throwing all the caps and stuff on here after they move a booster away, like so. Yeah, that would make sense to have that walkway up there. Before we leave the Sanchez site, though, do we have any questions from the audience?
We do actually. There was a question from F14D Jared DC. I'm sorry, Jared C. Can SpaceX legally do a static fire at Massey's?
Um, I don't know about legally, but in my opinion, it just wouldn't really make sense with the way this is set up. I mean, they could easily just put a berm, I guess, these uh in between these areas right here, but with the way that the pipework is set up at the suborbital site, like everything that's approaching the pads like would be below ground. So anything that's on the right side of the berm would be below ground and then come up underneath the test stand. Um, but all of this is above ground piping. So I just don't really think that we should ever expect to see static fires here.
I mean, if this was zoned for as an industrial site and maybe the gun range might have classified it as that, any modifications to it to keep it in as an industrial site wouldn't require that big of an environmental analysis or an FAA approval, where this is pretty much a manufacturing facility. Not There's no flame or explosions involved. probably doesn't require the same amount of environmental review.
Fair enough. There's a question from Hiccup, and he's asking, could we see the LR 1750 being disassembled and being moved to Massey's and being used to lift ships?
Is that the one that's in front of S-26 right now?
I believe so.
Um, well,
Well,
I mean, go ahead.
yeah, if you took the boom off it, there's no reason why you couldn't walk it up the road. It'd just be slow. Because
Yeah,
they moved Kong up back and forth from the
launch site.
launch site to the integration building quite a bit.
Yeah. I mean, I guess there's a few questions on that, like uh I guess the permanence of this pad is one of those questions because, I think this potentially could be something that's temporary, that's only here until they finish the other mega bay. And then they won't need this outside anymore. They'll actually have like workstations for it, potentially in the mega bay or even the high bay potentially. So um, with that said, if this is staying here, then you're gonna always need a crane here. So I don't think they would be moving this back and forth between the two locations, like because then you'd have to bring the crane with you every time you move the ship somewhere. So in that case, I think it would almost make more sense to permanently have a crane at the Massey site if they're going to be constantly lifting ships on and off that test stand.
Well, again, they're going to cryo every ship, so they're going to have a lot of ships going on and off those stands, and they're going to need something there full time for sure, I would think. Where this could all, like you said, in high bay, in the new mega bay, it could all be done inside with bridge cranes, and so change in production. The production's hard, right?
Yeah, yeah, definitely. I agree with that. Were there any other questions at Massey's?
There's one more for you, and it's more about the weather and how it affects Massey's. So the question is from John Dopker, and he's asking, since the site isn't totally paved, that's got to be a nightmare, he says, doesn't it turn into a sandy mud pit unless they get a heck of a drainage system? So question is, yeah.
Yeah, I mean we've seen what the site looks like after rainstorms, and yeah, I mean it's just covered in mud. I don't think they have any drainage set up here. They do have culverts for like their electrical, but I haven't seen any drainage out here.
This has the same drainage as the build site and the lab and the pad did. None.
Yeah,
Well,
well, the
now,
build site has a pretty good amount of drainage now, but back in the day, there was really nothing there. So, um, I think part of the road-based stuff that they put down here, um, I think, and I'm just guessing here, that the materials that they choose could uh, pull water through more quickly than others. I have no idea on that because usually we don't see too many like huge puddles out here, but I think that could be the case.
yeah, I mean, everything out here is all new dirt for the most part. All the old stuff, all the organic stuff's been removed. And this is all new stuff that they brought in, and they put stone under most of it, a lot of it anyway.
Yeah, that's pretty good for kind of wicking the water away from the surface, I guess.
And they are above the water table because you can see the water. They're surrounded by the moat, and that water gets out of there pretty quickly.
Yeah, and I mean, I think water in general evaporates rather quickly out here. This puddle's been here for what, like 4 weeks, 3, 4 weeks now. But other than that, every time it's been raining pretty frequently, and it's usually pretty dry when Mauricio gets out here to take flyover shots. So
there's also one more question, and then I got a bunch of donations as well. There's a question from Mark N. He's asking, are there actually 4 tanks on 2 large trucks? When you were looking at the video from SSG?
No, there was only 2 tanks, and there was 1 per truck.
yeah,
Perfecto. And then
Those just an ad, but they came from a steel mill up in Ohio, and they came down through Kansas, and they were reported in the news for the last several weeks in transit down here. holding up traffic all the way.
Nice. We did get a bunch of donations. The first donation I'd like to call out happened while we were not on stream. It's from Alex H., and he donated $400 and says, please, 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 we need 2 flights this week. So Mauricio wanted to let Alex know, if you're listening, Alex, he's definitely appreciative of that, and we're going to use that second flyover very wisely. I think he's planning on using it perhaps for the next static fire. I'm not exactly sure, or launch, excuse me. But we'll see. But we are so appreciative, and we are definitely going to use it for a second flyover. So thank you for that. We also have donations from Julian R., who donated $12.03 and says, for fuel and beer. We have donations from Sharpie for $10, who says, keep us with the good work. Keep up with the good work, RGV. John Dopker donated $10 and says, good Saturday afternoon, all. Snuggles for Sunny. Pete 2.0 donated $5 and that's for the Sunny Snack Train. Jim Cavett donated $5, Sunny Snack Fund. And Steve Coates donated $1.99 and says snacks, snacks, snacks. And more snacks for Sunny Snacks. And then we also have a bunch of free memberships, donated memberships, not free memberships, donated memberships, some very generous people in our chat. We have donated memberships from John Dopker, who donated 5 memberships. We have John Dopker. I know Psychonaut was a recipient of one of them, and that was from, there we go, Jim Cavett. And then we have another 5 donations from Rocket Profit. So we have 11 people who now have free memberships for a month and can come join us backstage before and after the show. They can join us for the show and tells. The day that Mauricio does his flyover or takes ground shot photos, he lets us have a first look, and all of his tiered membership members are invited to join us. Everyone's allowed to talk, and we are allowed to discuss all of the different things we see. So we invite you, if you don't already have a membership or you haven't received a gifted membership, to give us a try. I think you'll like it. I know I do. Back to you, Zach.
All right. Awesome. Well, thank you all for those donations. That was really amazing, especially that $400 donation. You guys are extremely generous, and we really appreciate that. Yeah, this is his Sanchez site is again turning back into one of my favorites, just with all of the stuff going on out here. It's just like a never-ending change happening over here, and this is really one of the only places that SpaceX has left to do like a lot of their fabrication work right now, especially with the actual ground fabrication building being disassembled. So yeah, really awesome to see all of this stuff happening down here. We have the United Rentals yard that used to be right here, which is cleared out and now being used for just general storage of Mega Bay steel. And I think we'll see a lot more down here over within the next few weeks. It seems like they're just finally getting all of this cleared up and ready to actually move more stuff in here. But yeah, just more storage in general over there. We have a ton of steel for the Mega Bay waiting over here as well too. And crazy enough, they moved 2 of these sections last week, and they all already have another 2 that are like, I mean, this one right here is definitely one of the new ones. It's almost hard to tell which other one is the new one. I think it's this one right here. Let me double check that. Yeah, I think it's this one right here. So yeah, I mean, they're moving pretty quickly on all of these. Actually, it must be this one right here because it's the only one that's not fully painted. So yeah, and honestly, I kind of expected them to move all of this over to the near the Mega Bay, but it looks like they may actually do all of their work over here, which kind of actually works out a little bit since they're able to stage the completed parts near the Mega Bay and not actually have to have those spots taken up until the crane removes the section. So yeah, I mean, they can essentially have 6 sections at the same time instead of 4. So yeah, this is pretty awesome how quickly they're moving here, and it's definitely a lot faster than I was expecting.
We also have that image from Virtual Space 3D that kind of shows all of this as well and labels them. I'm not sure if you had a chance to pull that up.
Yeah, I'm trying to avoid going back and forth between the browser, but here we go.
My apologies.
They labeled them right here for us, so you can see the segment 3, 2. I think these are both for the. Sorry, these are confusing me a little bit. They all say segment 2 and 3.
So you're talking about the front left, the back left, the front right, and the back right. That's why they both say segment 2 and 3. So the one at the top right where your mouse currently is, your cursor currently is, you're looking at the back right section, segment 3. The one just to the left of that bottom of the screen is segment 2. That's your front right piece. The one to the left of that is that front left piece. And then the one at the very edge left of the screen is your back left piece. So that's why he's labeled them segment 2 and segment 3.
Yeah, segment 3 is going to be the third level.
Okay, yeah, I guess the segment 3 part was what was throwing me off. That makes sense though. So yeah, we let me go back over there. Yeah, so I guess these are the level 3 pieces right here. And sorry if my mouse is glitching out a little bit. I'm going to try and move it a little bit slower. Hopefully I will have that figured out by next week. But yeah, this is a never-ending stream of steel that's coming in here, which is, I guess, to be expected. You know, most of this was, or about half of the steel that is out here was actually on site in Florida, but I think most of it was actually still at the facility where they actually manufactured all of these. So bet they're glad to finally clear up that yard space and get all of this stuff out here. But yeah, moving down towards the bottom over here, we still have the booster transport stand being worked on, and I think there's another ship transport stand right here, even though this looks weird to me. Has this been down there for a few weeks? I'm not certain on that one.
I think that one was new in the last week or two, and because isn't that where 9 was? The tank what's the tank they just tore apart?
Booster 8?
7.
The booster 8, yeah.
That tore apart? The one that launched?
No, well, there was a booster aft
Aft
section
section, yeah.
right there.
Oh, apologies. I know. Okay, sorry.
I'm not gonna lie, I didn't even realize that was gone until you said that. Oh, I missed that scrapping, and it took forever too. So, yeah, that is gone. When did that leave?
I'm gonna say about 2 weeks ago. Week or maybe 2 weeks ago, I think.
Yep. Between 2
Yeah.
weeks and the last week. So between June
Yeah.
2nd and June 7th.
Like I said, I've been a bit out of the loop. Been working on this latest episode for like 4 weeks now. So, trying to get myself caught up after the losing of my computer. So it's been a rough month, but yeah, glad to see that that's gone. And it looks like they're maybe nearing completion with this. Although I don't really see. I think they're just missing the alignment pins. But other than that, this kind of looks like it's nearing completion. But moving down over here to the right, it looks like they are still doing lots of work on these steel sandwich pieces. And you guys can see that they have those side plates mounted on the side right here on this one.
And
So,
that's actually
I would
what's
say
new are
they're-
the mounting of the plates from last
What was
week.
that?
The mounting of the plates is what's new. They've been working on these pipes for a couple of weeks now. We hadn't seen the mounting of the plates, and now they have.
Yeah, these were the ones that we saw laying at the front of this, or near the Rocket Garden, about 2 weeks ago. So, yeah, they got these up on here. I'm still waiting. I'm wondering where we know there's at least one of these being worked on inside of the inventory tent, but I think we're still missing the other 3. So it's kind of interesting wondering what's going on with those. But right now, on that note, let me swap over to some ground images of the fabrication tent, or not the fabrication tent, the inventory tent. They have started taking off the front of it. So I'm wondering if they're about to throw a door on here, because right now I think the steel plate sandwich things that are inside of there don't really have a doorway that they can fit out of right now. So I'm thinking that this may end up being a doorway that they're about to construct here.
I think long term, they're probably, I don't think they're, I think it should have a door, but the fact that it doesn't appear that they've stripped it all the way open, to the far left, it's leaning to the right, as far as the segments removed. I think that they're going to pull that piece out of there and close it back up.
Do you think maybe they're just preparing to put like insulation or something on this?
I think yeah, I mean, no, I think they're going to take this end off so they can get that piece out, because we did a size comparison of the width of this opening, and it's about the same size as a little bit larger than the bottom of the OLM. So if they're working on that as one piece, it could slide out of here as one piece, or maybe it's divided into two pieces or four segments with, the other options. But they're big, whatever they are, they wouldn't have cleared this much of the sidewall out.
Yeah, that's going to be exciting to see them get the rest of this off and open this up so we can see what's in there. I was
I
actually kind
mean,
of hoping it would
that's
be.
only a day to pull that off for sure.
What was that?
It would only take them a day to pull this down for sure.
Yeah, I was kind of expecting that it would have happened by now, but because they started doing that earlier in the week, and here's a really good shot of it from the front. Yeah, they started doing this early last week, so I was kind of hoping that they would have completed it before the actual before Mauricio got out there to do ground shots, just so we could see what's in there. But we're gonna have to keep an eye out to see what they end up when they actually end up taking that off. Is this framing right here new for up top?
No, I don't believe so. I think that was part of the original framing.
Okay. Yeah, but it looks like right here in the front they are kind of repairing like somewhat of a driveway. So definitely going to be moving whatever's in there out of this doorway. That would be pretty awesome if it's actually, three separate pieces together versus individual pieces like they have with the other sections.
And Thomas was anticipating this is going to be the centerpiece and potentially be all one big piece. That was his thinking on it the other night.
Yeah, that's going to be pretty incredible watching that roll out. Not having a nice close-up view of it will be pretty awesome when it rolls past Lab Padres rover cams as well.
The other thing we saw was that the top of these plates here between under the blue tarps and on both of these segments, there's been somebody up there cleaning out. They're like 3/4 inch diameter holes in the top of all these plates. And they had people in there with hand electric battery operated drills cleaning out the holes. So they're getting ready to finish those up, I believe.
Yeah, I mean they've been working on these for almost 3-4 months, so um, crazy that how long it takes to get these done. I mean they are some pretty massive sections of steel, so. Yeah, I mean, I don't think we really haven't seen anything like this on any other launch pad, so it's definitely going to be pretty unique. Um, I'm really excited. I think this is an awesome upgrade for the launch mount. Um, I'm really wondering like how far they truly are though, because they still have some of these elbow sections out here that don't look like they've been used yet. Um, I'm assuming they're probably working on something related to that underneath here, but we obviously can't see underneath that. There was something else down here that I wanted to point out, which was odd to me. So I've been seeing these trucks driving in and out of here a lot lately, and I don't know if they're actually just parked here or if they're actually doing some operations with this well.
So those
But
two haven't moved since they've arrived. So we think they're just parked there for right now. Or that's the running thought, at least.
interesting, yeah, they. Um, that's my first time. I guess I noticed them last week, but I didn't really pay attention. I thought they were kind of just staged in here, but that's interesting. I mean, they just look like water. They look like water trucks, but I'm not sure.
Definitely. I think the thought is that they are water trucks. I think everyone agrees. I just don't know what they're used for because they haven't moved.
I wonder if maybe there's a ground aquifer that they can maybe tap through one of those wells, and maybe this is where they're going to tap the aquifer and use this to fill up the deluge tanks. Just a
Well,
real wild guess.
well, I thought they already had that over here. So this is another thing that's kind of new this week. We have 4 new tanks over here, and these kind of look like they may be used to store water.
They were
Um,
over. They were over by. They were over by one of the buildings that got torn down. They cut the tanks in half and moved them into 4 pieces.
okay, so this is actually just 2 tanks, not 4.
Yeah, it's actually 2 tanks.
Hmm.
But the tank at the bottom of the screen is a water tank.
This one, yeah. Yeah, and so I believe right here is a well, a water well. Like I think they're just pulling groundwater out of here, and this facility right here is used to, I think like almost a reverse osmosis system right here, and then this would be the storage tank. So I don't. I mean, it's really impossible to know how fast they're producing water here, but I mean I would assume that would be one of their sources when they're going back and forth between the launch site. Um, but on that note, moving down here, we have the electrical substation that is still being worked on. And this is kind of one of the things that I've been working on with my latest episode. So, yeah, this is one of the largest, in my opinion, one of the largest projects going on at Starbase. Just I think has a pretty large effect on the rest of the facility, just getting all of this system activated. So, definitely felt like it was good to take some time to actually explain what's going on down here. So be on the lookout for that. But yeah, we have this substation which is nearing completion. They have the new Tesla megapacks that are down here, still waiting on an additional 3 of those to show up. But yeah, I mean, this site is developing pretty quickly. And I mean, the interesting thing about this is that they've been in this process of um, this infrastructure upgrade for like 2.5 years. So it's interesting that the substation is only just now being completed, because I honestly would have thought they would want it to be like ready to go as soon as Magic Valley finished their portion of their job. But yeah, I mean, it's been a very, in my opinion, chaotic process seeing the way that they've done all of this work for the new electrical upgrades.
Those 3 tanks that are right there in center screen, they're methane for the generators or natural gas for the generators.
I don't believe so. Because all of the natural gas for the generators comes from these.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, so I think this is just related to the gas wells over here. So it could be, um, it could potentially. So one of these is a gas well, and the other one is a disposal well. So if you're disposing water down a well, yeah, you may not be able to just like pull up a truck and push all of it down at the same time. So this could be temporary water tanks for that. Um, but yeah, it's really tough to tell what this is connected to down here. So
But its proximity kind of leads us down a path.
right, yeah. I mean, and this isn't something that I would expect them to store their gases in if they're producing. So yeah, to me, I think this is water, but it's really, really tough to tell without actually being able to get down there and like walk through that site. Seeing it from the air is really, really hard to tell. But moving a little bit up closer to speaking of those generators, it looks like I feel like they're about to start some work over here on the ASU soon. We know that they've had these these new sorry, these are the filters, right? No, these are the cooling boxes.
The chiller, yeah, the
Yeah.
chiller boxes, yeah.
Yeah, so they have what, eight of those that they've brought in here, and it looks like they're, I don't know when they started this, but they've been putting some ground. Wait, they did not scrap it. It's still over here.
They moved it. Well, that's the scrapyard.
Man, I thought it was actually gone now.
I just
I got excited there for a second, thinking it was actually gone. So yeah, it looks like they're. I can't tell if these are piles in the ground right here, it looks like they are, but I do remember seeing them drill something in the Sanchez site a few weeks ago, but we couldn't actually. I don't think we ever actually saw the piles in the ground over here. But to me, it looks like they're starting to prepare this for something else with that expansion. But the part of that confuses me is the fact that they placed this right here, like right in the way of where I would expect them to expand this facility. So.
Yeah, they're clearing those piles, freeing those piles to get ready to do something pretty soon, it looks like. So the scrapyard goes somewhere else.
For the second time. They like to move that scrapyard.
Yeah, I mean that's the convenience of just using shipping containers for your office space. You can just move it wherever you need to pretty quickly. So
I was going to say shipping containers for everything.
yeah, definitely. I mean, they're starting to finally move away from that. So, on that note, I'm really excited for the next stage of Starbase because it seems like everything is, really transitioning. And I say this in my episode a lot, transitioning from a backyard operation into like a actual legit industrial manufacturing facility. So it's really awesome to see them in this phase and just knowing what that means as far as productivity once they actually, complete all of this work that they're doing. So
Starbase is growing up so fast.
Yeah, I mean it really is, and it's you almost expect it to like chill out and not have much news to report on, but it's really just always changing. I really don't think we should expect that to stop for at least the next 2 to 3 years. So. But yeah, on that point, there's some interesting concrete being broken out down here. I'm actually been waiting for something like this to happen because we're in the process of trying to figure out all of the electrical system at Starbase. I really thought that there's some electrical boxes down here where pretty much everything in the Sanchez site ends right here. And, I've kind of been thinking it was so they can bridge the Sanchez site to the build site, which is there's some boxes right here as well too. But there's no underground cables that connect those two places. So I think this may be getting broken out so that they can run some electrical cables down here. I've kind of been expecting that to happen, but we will see if that ends up being the case. But if so, I think they either have to come around the backside or actually tear up the road. Here, let me get a better angle.
So you're saying that this isn't for another pad, perchance, for another artifact to go up and be displayed at the rocket garden?
I don't think so.
Aww.
Yeah, I mean, so the pads kind of end like right along this line right here, invisible line that you can't see. So there's like a I don't know, 5 meter strip that goes right here where the keep clear is. So I feel like they may be about to tear that out so they can put conduit under there because there's the underground drainage right here, which they can't go over it. I think they've been going under the drainage with the electrical. So I'm pretty sure that they may strip all of this out right here within the next few weeks.
Well, if you look, they've already pre-cut the center line of that road with the cut saw and the concrete saw right at the bottom of the screen there. Right there.
Oh, wow. So they're going to go through the center of the street.
Yeah. But that road has been cut, I think, now for 2 weeks, right, PK?
I'm not sure, but I just noticed it now, so I don't know.
Works for me.
But the fact that they're coming that far out says it's not a pad. And it's kind of and it's only a road, it's concrete. Yeah, we know SpaceX, it's like they're gone today, here today, gone tomorrow.
I'm kind of excited to see this.
Sorry.
I know most of you don't have any idea what I'm talking about yet with this, but I'm excited to see this because this was like a huge, huge pain for me trying to figure out like whether or not the Sanchez site and the build site are connected together as far as the electrical grid. And I never saw proof that they actually connected the two of them together. So I don't know. I literally spent like 5 days trying to find proof that they actually did that. And I just kind of settled on the fact that they didn't. So this kind of makes me feel a little bit better seeing this here, but definitely keep my eyes on that one.
Yeah, if you see 3 rows of boxes show up in several places along there, there's your answer, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of electrical work going on just in general, and we'll see a little bit more of it when we get to the build site. But Yeah, I mean it's quite a job getting all of that over to where it needs to go, and it's a little bit invasive as well too, because you're having to cut across intersections and whatnot. Um, so yeah, we'll like I said, we'll touch on this again in the next few minutes when we get over to the build site. Um, but yeah, do we have some questions on the Sanchez site? I'm not sure if there's anything that I've missed down here.
Yes. I think we have. Yeah. So Stan J asks, they're buying the steel frames for Mega Bay 2 from someone that's painted it all white. Why not buy it pre-painted, gray, for the outside parts?
Um,
Well, they were going to go in Florida for the building over there, and everything in Florida is white. And so the fact that it was built, planned, and actually stored in Florida, it was white, and now the color scheme here at Starbase is gray. So they're painting it gray
Well,
after they brought it from Florida.
and isn't that listed in that PEA where they have to have certain colors? I think it was like white and like a gray blue type of thing that's supposed to look like the sky because it's supposed to blend in type of situation.
Yeah, color was an issue with the PEA. I believe you're correct.
Yeah. They didn't want them having some crazy, red color or something like that. There's another question. This one is from, and it's more of a speculation. And then I have a Massey's question too that came up. Nosecone Jail wants to know, does SpaceX have a planned design for some sort of hangar for starships? There seems to be a scarcity of available land at Starbase. Do you guys know of any
um,
hangar idea?
no. I mean, unless you consider, so we don't really know like 100% what they're going to do with the Mega Bay. I mean, as far as we can't really see it over here yet, but as far as we know, the Mega Bay is going to be the same as the other one as far as its purpose for constructing boosters. But it is also possible that like all the finishing work can be done there, so that doing, construction of ships here, construction of boosters there, and then any like thing that doesn't involve stacking may happen in the other bays. So it is possible that, with that being the case, not actually stacking anything there, they could fit like, I don't know, 6 or 7 ships in there. So yeah, I mean, it's also possible that the rocket garden can expand in this direction. And I was almost hoping that we would see signs of that, but right now it looks like additional staging space. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And if you think about it, these starships are meant for outer space. They're they're not built in thermally and clean room atmospheres. They're built in open sheds with roofs on them for the most part. That's all that High Bay and Mega Bay are now. So no need to have a hangar in them because you build them under cover and move them out and let them sit outside. Because when there's 1,000 of them sitting out here to launch to Mars and mass, they're not going to be under, there's no hangar big enough.
Can you imagine hundreds of them lined up? Wow. That's just, I can't even fathom.
I cannot. I feel like that's one of the logistical issues that they'll have to eventually solve. Like, where do we put all of these ships? I think that's going to be one of the next things that they have to solve, because the rate that they're constructing them exceeds what they'll be able to launch like within a year. So yeah, I feel like they'll definitely need additional storage space at some point, but maybe have not exactly reached that point yet.
Yeah. I have a question and a donation from the same individual. It's a Massey's question, but before I do that, shout out to Jessica Kirsch, who's in the chat with us. Anybody listening, if you ever want to join us in chat live while we are doing the show, it's amazing because we have the most amazing people to show up, not just Jessica Kirsch, but the entire crew that comes. So I invite everybody to come join us. It's a lot of fun, and you get to interact with us, not only through chat, but then before and after live if you're a paid tiered member. And we have a Doom 2 Pro donated $5, and this is the Massey question, and asks, is there a possibility the marine pedestal crane could be retained by SpaceX and used in between 2 pads at Massey's to lift vehicles? And thank you for the donation, Doom 2 Pro.
That is a good question, and I like that question because we haven't heard. Well, so from what we know, this crane was actually sold allegedly. So
Yes.
that's the word that we've heard, is that this crane was actually sold and they were just waiting for the buyer to come pick it up. That's kind of odd to me. Like that kind of stuff I've never really heard of, where you can buy something and then just like have the person you bought it from store it for like 3 years. So I have a hard time actually believing that that's the case. But I mean, if they were instead saving it to like when they actually have a purpose for it, that would make a ton of sense. So putting this at the Massey site is a fantastic idea. So who said that idea? Who was that?
Except, let me throw a wrench into that one. It's not
Not wide.
have
It's not long
doesn't
enough.
have the lift capacity.
What's the lift capacity?
It was designed for Falcon 9s.
But what's the lift capacity?
That I don't know, but Thomas has talked about it for the last 2.5 years.
I agree that this is for Falcon 9, which is why when everybody was thinking that this was going to go on the tower, I kind of laughed for about 6 months straight. But as far as lifting capacity, I don't think we actually know that, like what it is.
I think we do, because I believe about 2 years ago, we actually got the paperwork on it from the manufacturer. It's
Let me
nowhere
see.
near 150 tons, but something like that.
Well, shucks. I mean, a ship without engines is a little bit lighter, so we got to consider that as well too. Maybe that's enough to.
Well, they're
I don't know.
bolt-on additions, right?
Yeah, exactly, and you're not gonna have
They're,
engines on when they go to Massey's
they have-
ever. So, oh, you know what? I take that all back, because this thing would also have to be able to lift up boosters, and that's probably not going to happen. So, yeah, fantastic idea though. I like it.
Doom 2 Pro is the person who asked the question.
I like it. Any more questions?
Not about Sanchez. Well, there's one actually. Missing Tools wants to know, will the diagonal corner braces stay? But that's more about Mega Bay 2.
Corner braces.
I'm assuming Mega Bay 2.
Oh, yes. So these braces actually stay on here. The only time they remove these is if there's like a corner platform, like the what do you call them? I consider them like kind of similar to the platforms that are inside of the VAB. I don't know a good name for those, but they're the
work platforms.
yeah, the ones that like bolt onto the side in here. So these are definitely structural elements, and they stay on there. And the elevator actually rides in between those. So
At the VAB they do? In between?
Well, in the Mega Bay.
Oh, okay.
Like the elevator fits in between this right there.
I see.
So it rides in between there. And so do the stairs. So yeah, these will stay here, because it's a really important structural element, similar to the ones that are on the exterior. Cool. Any more Sanchez questions?
Nope. Just some. There's a couple of silly questions. Do you want to hear those?
I always like a good silly question.
Okay. Robert P. asks, couldn't they store starships in orbit? Ha 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 ha. Funny. And then
Valid.
How do you get the fuel to them? That's the issue.
And they're for transit. You're not going to store them in orbit. Anyway, Rocket Prophet also wants to know, won't SpaceX simply have to have more than 2 launch complexes?
I personally believe so. And the only reason for that is just because of how long the static fire campaign for boosters takes. Obviously, we've only seen one of those so far with Booster 7, and everything going after that may go faster. But yeah, I mean, I would expect a second launch tower at some point, but I don't know. I don't know if it's actually fully necessary right now, because once they actually get going with a steady pace with launches, it's going to be a lot less time in between those launches. Obviously, they're going to need clearance for more than 5 a year before they can do that, but that's just a matter of paperwork essentially. So Yeah, I don't think we're at that point yet, but maybe a year and a half from now, I think they'll probably reach that point where it is necessary to have a second one. Because you want to probably have one that you can do like pre-launch stuff on, like wet dress rehearsals on, and all that stuff, and then do your pre-flight testing stuff on the other one, like all your static fire testing and whatnot. So, yeah, I mean, we'll definitely have to keep our eyes on that. It won't be hard to tell that they're about to start trying to do something like that, but yeah, I don't know. Honestly, with the way that the launch mount is set up right now, I feel like they would need more space than they previously thought for the second tower. But we can revisit that question again once we get over to the launch site.
Fair enough. And that's it for the donations and questions for right now.
Awesome. Well, thank you all for the questions and donations. We are at a little past the top of the hour, so if you all can do me a favor and hit that like button if you haven't so far, I would greatly appreciate that, and I think Mauricio would as well too. So thank you all for your continued support every week. It's really awesome both seeing the crowd in here grow and also seeing the familiar faces in here every week. It's really awesome that you guys are enjoying the weekly coverage of all of the developments at Starbase. So.
And everybody is so generous between the donated memberships and then just the financial donations. So generous.
Yeah, you guys are definitely an amazing audience, and we really appreciate all of you for being here with us. And on that note of the second flyover, I agree with that because there's just so much happening right now. Like, it would be really awesome to have a second flyover.
Yeah, Mauricio definitely
possible.
wants to do it too. I know he just wants to pick the right time.
Well, with the launch mount stuff, right now is the right time because once they cover up a lot of that stuff, we won't be able to see it. So, waiting a week in between may be too long because there could be certain elements of it that we just won't see unless we have a second flyover in the week. That's just my opinion.
You have a direct line to the boss.
Hey, I feel like he probably agrees as well too, but we'll see what happens. No promises, but we'll see what we can do.
Yeah,
and
Zach, my
yeah.
opinion is give them a week to get some rebar in that hole before they start pouring it, and then get a second shot at it, maybe.
Well, I feel like getting one before when they finish the blinding layer, and then one when they have all the formwork up, and then another one after that. There's a lot can happen in between there.
Yeah,
yeah, and we'll talk about that when we get there because there's a ton of embeds and all these different pieces that have shown up that are going to be involved in this. So it's going to be pretty interesting to watch. And really, the only way we can actually know what happens is from the air. So Mauricio is a really awesome resource for that reason, among others. So shout out to him. I don't know if he's still here with us right now, but shout out to Mauricio for that.
He'll be right back.
Cool. But yeah, now we're at the build site, and we have Mega Bay 2 under construction. And yeah, this looks amazing out here. I really like, I was going to say how clean it is, but just the, without having the like grassy areas that were essentially back here and then the scrapyard that was here, it just looks so much more official. And I'm really excited for this building in particular because I think it just changes the look of the entire site. I guess you can consider the Star Factory in that as well too. But yeah, right now we are currently waiting on them to lift the first of the sections of the Mega Bay. Last time they did this, I believe they had most of the siding up before they did it. But I don't think it's actually necessary because it's not really as much of a structural element. But one of the things that we were also waiting on was for the actual lifting jig to arrive, and we have seen that show up this week. I don't know if we have images of it from the air because I think it came in on Thursday.
It's in the upper left corner in this picture, behind it. To the right, right by the Mega Bay in the corner.
Sing it, Rihanna.
The new Mega Bay. Sorry.
Oh, like which one?
Yeah, see the black with the red. That's the lifting beam right to the left.
Oh, back here.
Upper, yeah, right there. That's it.
Okay, hold on. Let me. Let's.
There's another picture. Yeah, you can see it from the other side. It'll be a little bit clearer.
Oops. Let me just search up top and see if I can find the good image. Maybe this might be the one. Cool. Yeah, this is part of it. There's a big blue Versa bar that goes with these.
You'll see that in
So
the ground shots.
Okay, cool. Yeah. I will have to find those in the ground shots in order to show it. But yeah, so they got most of the material they need to actually lift those sections. So we may see the first one as early as this week. We did see the crane like seem like it was preparing for it because it was moving back and forth between here. But I think they were kind of just doing that practice run to make sure all of this stuff is as flat as they want it to be before they actually lift that first section up. But yeah, this is amazing how quickly this is going.
They really go in spurts here. It's like they won't do anything for a while, and then all of a sudden it's like, brrrr.
Yeah, I agree. And one of the things I'm going to be excited to see if they do the base of this like they did the other one, as far as having all the storage behind it. Obviously, they wouldn't have a driveway in order to like bring stuff into a warehouse like they do on the other side. But it's going to be really cool to see how different this one is from the other once it's finished.
Well, the other thing to remember is there's some columns along the waterfront there that are about 35, 40 feet away from the building. There's some piers that they put in back there.
Here, yeah.
They didn't put those in for prettiness.
Yeah, so I'm guessing we will see some extra stuff. Is it these two right here?
Yeah. And there's the like matching on the other side also.
Really?
Yeah, I
I
think they're
never saw
pretty.
those two. I never saw those two over there.
I thought I remember seeing them go in when they did the borings.
Interesting. I'll have to look for those in some older images because I think he's actually sitting on top of where those would be because it actually should be like right here. I don't see him. Well, we will check on that. Yeah, but so having all of the way that they have this set up down here, I was kind of saying earlier, allows them to do 6 sections at a time because they can bring 2 in and then allow themselves to start continuing on the next sections. So they actually have 6 of these frames instead of 4, or I think we originally thought it was 5. So yeah, this is going to make everything move super quick. It's interesting watching them bring all of this in here because they have to do some pretty weird maneuvers to get this in here. But yeah, I mean, it looks like a really nice assembly line the way they're doing this. I just really love the way they build things like this because, and no offense to Blue Origin, but when you watch them build anything, it's like a piece by piece operation, like standard, like back in the day, like when you're building the Sears Tower or something like that, where you have like individual beams being flown in instead of like lifting them up in sections like this. So I kind of like this approach and really helps them move like way faster than anybody else. So yeah, this is really, really cool to watch them work around the fact that they still have a manufacturing operation going on while they're also doing construction. So I wish we had Jax with us today because I'm completely lost in where we are with all the ships.
It's quite there's a lot happening.
Yeah. There's definitely, so I think they started stacking Booster 12 this week, right?
Yes.
Okay, so Booster 12 is inside the Mega Bay. I don't know if I have a good view on the inside of the front of it. So let's see. This might do it. Kind of tough to see in there. I think it's possibly in the front left corner. But yeah, it looks like they have, what are these, methane tank sections?
I'm just trying to pull up that.
I believe these are methane tank sections out here, but I could be wrong about that. But yeah, it looks like they're getting these all staged up. And now with Booster 12 being stacked, we have 9, 10, 11, and then 12 under construction now. So, and then I think there's parts of up to what, 15? It probably goes way further than that.
For ships or boosters?
Are you pulling up the little diagram?
Yeah, I'm trying. But my system, she is a slow.
overall, like it seems like the ring yard's actually expanding. I mean, I bet they probably wish they could put stuff right here, but they got to keep that clear for moving moving sections in here. But yeah, I mean, it's really packed out here right now.
I mean, all those transport stands are empty. They could be putting rings on them, right?
Very true. Yeah,
Fabrication stands.
yeah, definitely. And it's I think they may. I wonder if they're actually slowing down a little bit. So when we kind of get over into like near the Star Factory area, um, you can see that they have 3 nose cones sitting outside right now, and I don't know if they actually ended up scrapping anything this week or if they just brought all these out so they could reconfigure the entire uh, tent 3. So pretty much all of these tents over here are no longer going to be able to have things coming out of the backside of them while they're doing all of this construction. So it's possible that they were rearranging this tent so that the workflow is going this way instead of coming this way, which makes a ton of sense.
See the sharp cone on the left, upper left corner?
This one.
Yep, there were 3 there.
So they are scrapping them.
They are scrapping the smaller sections.
Well, that's interesting. I wonder if they're moving on to just a different nose cone design as well. Not the full nose cone, but potentially those new flaps that we were expecting.
There was some speculation it might be a block change, and or somebody even threw out the fact that maybe they found something out at the testing, but at the same time, the other ones at the bottom all went back in the tent.
So they're back inside now.
Yeah, I think 2 of them are, and maybe the one that there's just one left out. I think possibly.
Yep, I believe you're right, PK.
Well, let me slide back over here before I get too deep into the Star Factory stuff and see if we can see inside the mid bay here. Probably gonna be a better image. So we still have the nose cone under construction right now. I honestly can't tell if they've done anything else with it. But this is the one that we were kind of expecting was related to HLS prototype. And I wish we could see a little bit better into the left side of this, but I don't think there's anything in there right now. But another thing to mention, we kind of talked about this in previous weeks, a bunch of steel pipes or iron pipes out here that they've been working on, which potentially could be related to the deluge system. Not 100% sure, but right now they don't really have another area to do fabrication work. So it's either here or the Sanchez site where they're doing that stuff. And we've seen some of these piping manifolds move to the launch site. I don't think they came from here.
What picture are you on, Zach?
What was that?
What picture are you on?
Oh, whoops. Sorry. Let me move back here. Yeah, my bad.
Right picture.
Went through that for quite a while before I caught that. You caught that. So sorry about that. This is the HLS nose cone right here inside of the tent. That's funny because on the other image, it probably looked like I was pointing to the other nose cone. So sorry for that confusion. But this is the one I was talking about inside of the mid bay. And yeah, we can't really see into the left side of here, but looks like they're still working on that prototype nose cone or whatever you want to call it. But this is the steel that I was talking about, the pipes that they're working on right here, which I believe possibly could be related to the deluge because they I just don't really think they have a need for that much water at the build site as far as like underground pipe work. So it kind of makes sense that this is going to the launch site at some point.
Yeah, it's not stormwater related. It's got to be I think you're absolutely correct.
Yeah, overall, I feel like it would be interesting to see like if they are producing water at the Sanchez site, like in order to not have to have trucks going back and forth delivering it, to actually build a water pipeline over there. But highly doubt we're going to see that anytime soon.
Can you zoom in on you see the white trailer or the white tent right in front of the entrance there to the right? That black pipe, are they nipples that they're welding on right there?
Yeah, looks like it. Yeah, I've been wondering if there's going to be something for the top of the launch mount, even though we haven't really seen anything that kind of shows that. It seems like there's like a lot more water pipe work than what we're actually expecting. So will be very interesting to see where all of this ends up going to.
Well, and so there's an answer for that question. Jake actually was able to put it in chat. He says there's a screenshot he added too. Those pipes have moved from mid-bay to the launch site.
Okay.
And I believe they're for LOX tanks. That might be for something else.
And the VersaBar thing, let me show that as well too, since I was talking about it. So this is the VersaBar that they will use for attaching the other jigs or the lifting jig sections. So this when this first showed up, I kind of thought they were about to redo the stuff, the calibration testing underneath the launch mount, but it looks like this is actually for lifting mega bay sections. So
Actually, Zach, it's in use to lift that tank right now.
I was just going to say Alaska Space noted that the VersaBar with the two smaller VersaBars is at the launch site being used to raise the tank as we speak.
okay. Well, I'm missing out on some fun stuff right now on the
Or
live.
your predictions are all being proven true.
I think that would be wrong because I thought this was going to be for mega bay sections. So,
Oh.
And I don't know if there's a second one or not, or if this is the only one. So, yeah. But this is this picture is taken at the launch site, right?
No, it's
This is near
Building
Okay,
site.
integration building.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That makes sense.
And it's from yesterday, so they would have moved it.
Sorry, let me get back to the right image.
I mean,
Cool.
Zach, things change here hourly. You
I was gonna
can't.
say, it's been a whole 12 hours.
I'm fortunate enough to be able to watch it hourly while I'm working, and it's just crazy how quick things change around here.
Yeah.
PK, are
This
you
is the-
actually working? Just kidding.
Yeah, I can look.
So this is that section that we saw, the outside of the mid bay, and you can see all of the little pipes being the pipes on the welded to the outside of it. So I'm guessing these are probably related to the sorry, what do you want to call them? The gas storage tanks, the high pressure tanks. So they have all of them are going to have a manifold that they connect to, and I think that's what this is.
It's a centipede, space centipede.
Yeah, we'll touch on this one again. I'll bring this back up when we get to the launch site.
Or if it was standing up on end, you know those things you practice like karate with? The wooden things? That might just be me. Never mind.
I think I know what you're talking about, though.
I don't want to mess with a karate dude that big.
Not a dude. It's the thing you practice with. Anywho, doesn't matter.
Well, I don't know what to say about the rest of these ship parts out here because I am not Jax and I don't pay as much attention to the actual ships and whatnot.
I can help you with that, though. Because in lieu
Sure.
of Jax, we have Jax Miro board that actually the ring watchers all keep up to date. That's currently being updated as we speak. But if we are looking at the ring yard, we see... Okay. Which high bay is... There it is. Okay, I just need to flip it around. So if you start up at where your arrow currently is, we're looking at B12, booster 12. And then just below that is another B12 section.
Wait, what? This has got to be a starship section.
Okay. Well, then I'm looking at the wrong end. That's a ship skirt. Yes?
I think so.
Okay. Well, then
Yeah.
it says that. I was just on the wrong end of the map. But it's still being populated, so maybe it'll change. Because it doesn't show anything to the... Oh, that's because they're all stands. Okay. Yeah. So you got the ship skirt, you got ship 30, and you got ship 31. So those are the three in a line right there, going down from where you were just at, the ship skirt. So that would be 31. And then to a smooth dome to the, I guess to the right of that in the photo. That's from May 29th it's been there, I guess. And then if you keep going to the right of that, or you go down, okay, that's cool.
We can go to the right.
Years. So that is to the right.
Booster 12 aft section.
15.
Wow. Okay, way off.
No, but you were right about the aft section.
Well, that's the easy part. This is probably one of the easiest parts to identify next to the booster forward section.
And then you have a couple of more booster pieces. I don't know that we know exactly what booster number it's for. And then you've got ship 30 nose cone and potentially ship 33, star SM33 and something else mixed together in the corner. So just
Here?
above the nose cone. Yeah, that one. And then the two ring sections below the B-15 that you pointed out are also booster pieces. We just aren't quite sure which ones yet. And then to the right, left of that in your image, we are looking at... Perhaps we're looking at booster 11 piece, but it may be abandoned now.
Yes?
No, to the right of that.
This one.
No, yeah, that one.
Booster
that
11
one.
stacked, isn't it?
Sorry?
Booster 11. Oh, this is the old forward section for Booster 11?
Potentially, but they seem to have abandoned it, so don't really know what it's for anymore.
Okay. Then I'm guessing all of these look like booster sections right here. So I'm guessing those are for 12.
Yes, booster 12, and then in the middle pieces, potentially ship 32 pieces.
Okay. So tons of Starship sections out here. We are producing Starships extremely fast. It's amazing.
Yeah, and apparently the tents have a lot of pieces too. The rest of B12 is in tent 1, and B13, B12, B13, and B14 pieces are all in tent 1, potentially.
Oh.
And then tent 2 is going to have all of our Starship pieces, potentially 30, and 31, 32. All potential pieces are inside tent 2.
Well, tough to see what's in there, but they're definitely doing a massive amount of work. That is pretty crazy. Yeah, I mean, it's tough for me to be as excited about like the ship and booster production at this point because, you know, I'm always waiting for launches and also primarily focused on like the infrastructure and whatnot. But yeah, there is a massive amount of Starships under construction right now, and they're moving way faster than it makes sense to me. So yeah, it's still exciting one way or another.
Everything here is super exciting.
Yeah.
And I don't even like construction.
Well, moving on to the Star Factory area, this is, as always, slightly outdated because the moment you take some pictures, things can change. So right now we have this roof section piece of the Star Factory has already been lifted in place. So they already put the other two, the top sections of these columns on, and then have lifted this roof section up there. I think there was actually, I don't know if they've only done one of them or if there's two side by side that go on here. I think it's two side by side. But yeah, they're moving super fast on the Star Factory. And down here in the corner, it looks like they may have just finished another pour of concrete down here at the bottom of the press pit.
Yes.
Yeah, this has been interesting to me because I'm not sure if the building will truly come all the way out here or if it's going to cut in diagonally like this.
Is that a thought that it'll cut in diagonally?
My thought. I mean, I don't know. I mean, right? If you keep going forward with this, you're basically right on the edge of the culvert. But I mean, it's far enough away where it is possible to go that far. So, I'm just not sure if it actually is. They just don't have those footings in the ground yet.
Yeah. I feel like I can hear Thomas say, "Oh no! It will go all the way to the end," and he would tell us why.
Yeah, I mean, it makes sense for it to do so. You know, it's just a tight corner right there. At least it looks like it from way up here. But you know, if you're in a vehicle like this size, probably is a pretty wide enough path for you to move things through there. But yeah, just my thought was that it was a little bit closer to these vaults than it actually is. So it probably will come all the way up to the corner. But yeah, I mean, they're doing this in sections right here. So they're finishing up this one right now. And I wouldn't be surprised if this is already poured already. But then we'll see these two sections after they finish up this work on the actual base of the press pit, I believe. But yeah, so they're working this way forward as far as with the actual superstructure of the building. And yeah, I mean, this is going to be extremely fast how they finish this.
Well,
This is kind of how they built it in Florida. So the first time they built the Star Factory out here, they were individually lifting up all of these roofing section pieces, and they weren't actually pre-constructing anything like they are now. So this will move way faster. I mean, it's not going to be as fast as Florida yet, because there would need a little bit more surface area in order to do as much pre-construction as they were doing in Florida. So yeah, I mean, it's still moving really fast. And if we move over to the left where the the propulsions building used to be, you can see that they're removing the base from that right now. Everything is gone from that structure, and they're pretty much peeling back all of the concrete from here.
Yeah, they took everything, those buildings down in like no time. Literally between last week and this week, the flyovers, they've literally destroyed everything except for that property that's still sitting there, which I understand there's two of them that they still haven't gotten their hands on, if you will, or been able to purchase. One of them is in litigation, and this is the other one just to the left of what we're looking at that they still can't touch. But we'll see what happens. And then just an update on that black centipede, as PK called it. There's confirmation from the gents, particularly Oscar the Grouch, who spotted it, and Jake, who identified it, that it's being lifted right now. And I don't know where exactly it's going, but it's being lifted to be put on something.
Cool. Yeah, we can talk about that piece once we get to the launch site, just so we're staying on topic here and not jumping all over the place. But yeah, that's it's crazy, like the amount of stuff that happens during these streams. Usually I would like to have like my normal monitor set up while I'm doing the stream, so I can like keep an eye on that stuff, but that's a little distracting for me. So but yeah, so I mean, we're definitely seeing lots of progress down here. I'm wondering if by the time Mauricio gets another flyover in, if they'll start doing the work down here to so they can at least get, well, I don't know if they'll be even able to start the next section, because this will collide into the property that they don't own yet. So if anything, it can at least be a staging area so that they can do all of their pre-construction over here while they're waiting to actually get access to this land right here. But moving even further up here, they've took down the low bay 2 weeks ago, and looks like it was never even there.
Right? All that's left are the white lines that are in the front, or were in the front.
I don't even miss it, honestly. Like, it's just, I'm glad to see all of this stuff taking place. It's really awesome that they're expanding this so quickly. You know, I really expected them to do it in almost one by one, but it looks like the next phase of this is going to be a very large phase. So yeah, I mean, we have the ground being torn up over here, and the ground fab building, I almost forgot what it was called. Ground fab building is almost nearly fully dismantled. And this is definitely looking like it's going to get relocated. I mean, all of the other structures, they just tore them down and demolished them. But this one is kind of being more carefully taken apart, and looks like they're actually going to be reassembling it somewhere. So I was personally expecting it to be next to like up here in this area, so next to the Mega Bay. But then they started putting all of this these beams for the Mega Bay in that area, so it's not really looking like that's going to happen, at least not yet.
Well, we'll see where they put the steel after they start to disassemble the frame.
True. Yeah. That'll be interesting to watch, because I mean, they've already taken down. There was some steel framing up right here, right?
It was that leaning thing.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
don't know where that went.
the leaning thing. What do they call it? A lean?
Lean to. I thought that was right here. Or was there? Oh yeah, there was two of them. I almost forgot what it looks like already.
That's how much of an impression it left on you.
Yeah, but it's awesome to see this progress, and once this is gone, it'll be interesting to see if they go straight for building this section. But I imagine that they want to kind of. Actually, I take that back. I don't think they need to keep this open for moving steel through here, because I think they can just come in through the backside down there, down through here. But yeah, tons of progress on this, and it's going to be really amazing to just watch this over the next few months. I'm a little bit shocked again, like how fast they're moving with it, but it makes a lot of sense. I bet they wish that they already had the factory up in this area, but it's just really not as needed right now. But yeah, this is going to be a really awesome next phase for Starbase. And up here in the top left corner, we can see the trenches for the conduit, or the electrical grid for the launch site. So they're bringing these all the way down to where the substation is at the Sanchez site. So this is going to be interesting to see how quickly they do this, because obviously they kind of need this space for parking for employees. So I don't know if they'll just keep going right now, or if they'll finish down here and then do these in steps. And another question will be whether or not they actually tear up the road in between these two, or if they just do directional drilling to go underneath the street. But yeah, they're moving super fast with all of this. In my opinion, this is a huge upgrade. I'm really excited for all of that work. I think it's just going to enable them to do a lot more than they've been able to do as far as things that require lots of power. So I'll expand on that a little bit more later, but still awesome to see that in the works right now. Do we have any questions on this area?
Questions and donations. I'll start off with the donations this time. We have a donation from Rocket Profit, who donated $10 and says the fuel and dog biscuits train is rolling. John Dopker came in with $20 and says, if it wasn't for Mauricio and his amazing photos, we would probably be really bored on Saturday afternoons. Fly safe, and thanks to all of you at RGV. We also have a donation from Jim Cavett, $5. He's also with Rocket Profit. All aboard. And then Morton V donated, or had a super sticker, and donated 200 Norwegian krone. And KMS donated 20 Bulgarian lev, and says the only paid membership that they have, and we totally deserve it. Combining ground and aerial photos is the best. I agree with that statement. And then questions. First question is from Lane M, and he asks, do you think they may build a third megabay on that patch of dirt to the left of the new megabay?
I do not. I feel like if they were going to build another one, they would get rid of the mid bay and do it there.
Oh, interesting. There's a question from Mike. Mike wants to know, why are there still some pieces of concrete still missing from the first poured pad for the Star Factory extension?
Let's go back to that really quick. I was going to go through some ground images, but we'll go back there. So missing pieces, I'm guessing he's talking about this top corner right here?
Yes, I believe so. From the original pour.
I think this is the only piece missing. I can't really explain why that's missing. I mean, I think they're obviously keeping this one here so they can still move in between the two buildings. I imagine they'll finish all of this first before they take down this wall and bridge the two. But as far as this one right here, not too sure why it's like that.
And then you got the rear piece that's against where the three columns are at the rear.
Oh, down here.
Yeah, that's a weird. Yeah. Except there are vaults in there, aren't there?
Yes.
There are some vaults. Well, the conduit comes up from the side, from beneath the concrete right here. But I haven't seen actual vaults in the actual.
Yeah, there is conduit in there though. But
yeah, not sure why this is still missing. They kind of just do things in weird phases sometimes. So, it's really tough to tell why that would happen. But I'm not really sure. I don't have an answer for that one.
I
Do you
have
have
a
any ideas?
I have a theory on why they're not doing it around the press pit because they don't want to, they're going to bring something really heavy in there and they got to keep that open so that they don't, if they put concrete down, they'll end up crushing it maybe before they
Yeah,
bring a big machine in, whatever it's going to be.
that is a good point. I mean, I wonder if it could just move in through here, or if they would just pull straight up and just lift over this. But yeah, I mean, they're definitely finishing up this still, so it makes sense that they wouldn't put in this area because they're still working on the actual foundation of this. So yeah, I mean, it's a weird process doing all of this because it's multiple different things happening at the same time. You have different trades doing different things at the same time. So um, the actual base of this building isn't really necessary. Like the first Star Factory, I think there was parts of it where they were already, or sorry, not the first Star Factory, the one in Florida, they were actually had roof sections over some parts that didn't even have concrete yet. So putting a roof section on doesn't stop you from pouring concrete later because the building is large enough where you can just drive the concrete trucks through the building. So, yeah, it'll be interesting to see that. I mean, I'm sure that by this time next week, this will be finished.
Nothing shall stop the pour of concrete.
Yeah, they're definitely making a lot of moves.
And then we just got 2 more donations, and I'll leave it to you. John Dopker donated $5 and says, shout out to the mods. Our mods here in chat are Astro Joe and Rocket Prophet, and they are the best. And everyone behind the scenes that help out with RGV shows all together. Thank you, John Dopker. And Drew Nar donated $22 Canadian dollars and says, thank you for all the great photos. Please keep up the vital work you do. And that's it for the donations and questions for now.
Awesome. Well, I did want to go through some ground images because I got reminded to do that. So thank you all for who mentioned that in the chat. But yeah, we have we're kind of going back in time a little bit here and back to the Mega Bay. So they have the windows up, most of the windows up on the back side of it now. I don't know if we have some images that show the side of it.
Real fast, shout out to Victoria.
Do we have some side pictures of the top of it? I don't know.
The front side and I believe the back side from that picture are both done, and the two ends, there's one piece or two pieces missing on the left,
Right
and
here.
there's 3 pieces right there.
Yeah, that is awesome. So we're going to probably see that scaffolding come down here soon. I've been wondering if that's the reason why Grover is chilling over here. And where is Grover? Hold on.
Between High Bay and Mega Bay.
Yeah, right here. So I've been wondering if that's the reason why Grover's chilling over here, so that he can help lift down all of this scaffolding. Because I haven't really seen him do anything yet. I don't know if you have.
Thomas was saying he's helping bring things in and out of the top floor there.
Yeah, I believe this right here is like almost like a loading dock for them to bring stuff up here. So yeah, that would make sense. Cool. Well, let's move on a little bit from the. Oh, sorry. No, let me go back to the ground images. I am all over the place today, if y'all can't tell.
Jake mentioned that Grover had a hold of some glass panes the other day and was lifting them into place at the top of Mega Bay. So along the same lines that we were all talking about.
Yeah, I mean this kind of looks a little bit like a loading dock, the way it's raised up a little bit, so then it can be level with the floor up there. What was that?
Wrong picture.
We're looking at
Oops. Man, did that again.
And while you're changing, shout out to Forge Gamer. Happy birthday.
Yeah, so this right here looks like a loading dock. It's a little bit more reinforced up there, so you can actually lower stuff on top of it and then bring it into the building.
Looks like they're either going to put snap-on mullions, or they have a different anchoring system for the glass on this building. If you look at the joints between the 2 pieces of glass, there's a little bit different fabrication. The one that shows better on the right side.
You're just talking about
See the squares?
Down here?
Yeah. The
Um,
square between the mullion, where the mullions would be between the glass.
Are you talking about these?
Yep.
Is this just what holds them in place?
Could be, or it's the anchor. It's the new system it's a different system, or that's going to be a clip to clip the mullions to, one or the other. But there are no mullions up there at all anywhere.
And
Interior.
okay, yeah, it looks like this isn't finished up there as well, so that would make sense. Let's see if there's some more ground images that we can go through at the build site, because there's, oh wow, it's a nice little close up of that kettle reboiler. Let me scroll through this a little bit. Cool to see the actual mega bay from the ground. So let me find that. We do have an image right here. Still can't really see much from that little tiny gap that we have in the inventory tent. I always want to say fabrication tent. In the inventory tent, and really can't tell exactly what's in here, because obviously there's at least one section of the steel plates in here, but we don't know how big it is and if there's actually multiple sections together in there or not. So this is gonna be really cool once they actually get the siding off that building to see what's in there.
We also noted they painted the inside on that
I was
picture.
just going to say that if you zoom in, you can see that they've put a coating on those.
On these?
Yeah, see the white?
Not really.
No, you don't see the white on the little.
here?
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting, because I thought these were stainless steel.
I don't think the inside. I think the inside's soft steel and the outside's stainless.
I guess that would make sense. You don't really want it
Sorry.
rusting. So cool. Let me sorry, I was trying to get to this mega bay shot right here. It's really cool being able to see this up close. It looks so much smaller from the air, so it's really nice to get these ground images of it. And again, kind of amazing that just being able to get this close to the building as it's being constructed. So awesome shots by Mauricio. Thank you. I think I have a good one shown inside of the tents right here to see if there's any, or the star factory, I mean. Nothing really of note in there. All right, sorry. Let me go back to the aerials really quick. And we'll hop over to the village. So, mentioned a little bit ago that they have that trench going up the side of the highway. So you can see that they've finished the section in between LBJ and what is this other one up here?
Saint Martin?
Yeah. So they're nearly done with this section right here. You can see that they have the concrete, the red dyed concrete through at least this one trench all the way up here. And guessing they'll probably fill that in rather soon. But yeah, that's a big job, just getting all of that to where it needs to go. And it looks kind of disruptive. And then we have right here, all of this material was from the ground fabrication building, which is now just kind of staged up here on the side of the road. So it'll be interesting to see if this is just waiting here for them to actually relocate the ground fab building, which would make a lot of sense. Just a temporary storage spot to store all that stuff. So, but down here, not a whole lot of changes. The village, they're still doing that expansion work in the actual neighborhood. So we have these two houses under construction down here, and they're really doing a lot of work to clear all this back up. Let's see if I got a image that shows it a little better. It's not what we want. I don't think we have one that shows down there very well this week. Well, we can kind of see it from this image though. So that, yeah, I mean, they've had this cleared out for a while, but now they're actually like going through and putting, so they took so long to do this that all of the, they started like growing a bunch of weeds in here again. So they went back and cleared all of this land, and it looks like they'll actually start doing some more groundwork in here soon. So preparing for an influx of new employees, or just trying to relocate more employees closer to Starbase, which is awesome. Avoiding that huge drive. And then down here in this corner, they've almost finished up these houses. It looks like this one's finally fully complete. Somebody's living in there now, but yeah, this is almost a full neighborhood at this point. Pretty crazy to see the way all of this changed over time. Down on this side over here, not as much happening over here. There's really not a lot of changes that I've noticed. Kind of just the general storage area for crane parts and SPMTs. So not really expecting to see much change back here.
Go to the left-hand side of the STMP yard.
Mhm.
Those gray pieces that are laying there flat.
These?
Yep, that's the second set of those lifting hooks. The other ones are being used in, I think, high bay.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, so we should expect. I mean, they have the special lifting jig for the ship, and having one in the high bay makes sense. But you also need one at the launch site, so you can lift it onto the test stands. There's a chance they may actually need 3 of them because they'll probably want one for the suborbital pad and then also another one for Massey's. So I'm guessing this won't be the last one that we see. But again, I don't think they need this until they get to testing ship 29. Sorry. 29 will be the one that they probably need to have this done by. So that's like 3 ships away as far as actually doing cryo testing and whatnot. So probably take their time getting this constructed. And with that, I don't think there's too many other changes to talk about in this area. So we may go ahead and swap over to the launch site.
Yay, everybody loves the launch site. And I made one mistake that I want to correct real fast. I mentioned Ian's name is Lane. His name is actually Ian, and he was the one who donated and had the question. My apologies, Ian.
All right, we are at the launch site, my favorite. So, what do we got going on out here? The suborbital pad, we have ship 25 waiting for static fire testing, and we have seen closures announced for that testing. There was closures Monday through Wednesday next week, but I guess the Monday and Tuesday ones have been canceled. So they we may be seeing that static fire test on Wednesday. I imagine they will. I guess there's no reason to do. I was going to say may do a cryo test first, but they've already done cryo tests at the Massey site for 25. So yeah, we'll probably see that hopefully sometime this week, which is awesome. I think they're just doing their last prep works on here. They did have the crane attached for quite a while, and it's finally detached. So yeah, about to get back into static fire testing. You know, one thing I didn't notice they did down here was throw a little retaining wall up down this area.
Oh yeah, that's new, isn't it?
Yeah, I think that may be within just the last week or so. But other than that, at the suborbital site, there's not a whole lot going on. I've been waiting to also see these move because we really have no idea what these are for yet. But it's really weird. I kind of was expecting to see that like immediately after the first launch, that whatever this was for, they would start working on that. But it must be something completely separate from this whole water-cooled plate thing. So
Yeah, I think when you get the power lines down here and they start to go across the road, we're going to see those get utilized over in this area.
that would make sense.
They're strictly for the power, and we know the power is coming this way, so time to use them.
Right. Yeah. So that would be from here, let me get a good angle of that. And I may have to go to a different set of images for that. Yeah, because we can't really see the bottom of that street from most of these images. Let me find one.
One thing to note while you're looking for it is that they've disconnected the crane from the ship. That last week it was still connected to that crane and they were working inside of it. This week it's no longer connected and we don't see the hose, we don't see the people. Seems to be ready for a static fire.
All right. I don't have an image of that bottom corner without going to my I really want to find one. Give me 1 second, everybody.
You want me to find it for you while you continue on?
I got it.
Okay.
There we go. So yeah, with the conduit path ending here, I mean, I don't really know why they would switch up like through this area. Why they would do a different method with how they're laying it down here. I don't know if it could have something to do with the way that the water moves through this area, that it would make more sense for them to do that. But yeah, I don't know. That's a tough one.
Might be more because everything coming down. Well, that's conduit, isn't it? That's just not laid. That's conduit. That's just not a laid cable, is it?
There's one set of conduit in each trench. So there's six wires and one piece of conduit in each trench. The conduit is probably for like data and comms. And interesting that they didn't do like conduit for the actual the power lines, but yeah, I mean, there's the direct burial for these, and then one conduit for the data and comm stuff to be pulled through. But yeah, I mean, it's really interesting the way they've done that, and I mean, what you're saying as far as those ready duct things being used here would make a ton of sense. I just don't get why they would switch it up once they reach the spot.
They might do it just because protection as they go across roads and driveways and things like that, because it'll give them more structural support over top of the cables.
Right. I mean, that's a lot of ready duct though. That's a big run that they look like they have that for. So
Yeah.
interesting. Yeah, I've been waiting to see that stuff move for a while, and still no movement. But down here on pad A, they're still working on some cryotubing, which will likely go back towards the launch mount, I think, once they're ready to do that. I'm actually surprised there's not a little bit more of that work happening, because they're going to have to prepare for all the tanks that they're putting in the front of the orbital tank farm. But yeah, when we move down in this area, you can also see these new frame pieces that got brought in, and these are related to the water-cooled steel plates. They go underneath the launch mount. I haven't seen I've seen some speculative images showing what these could be used for, but I don't know if we have any on hand.
We have the Ryan Hansen one. He actually shared it with us in a show and tell.
Oh, yeah, I don't know if he... Yeah, let's go ahead and show it.
Let me grab it for you. Here you go. And we also have Chrome Kiwi as well, so I'll give you both.
These are some interesting little sections here. Cool, thank you. So yeah, this is Chrome Kiwi's representation of what those look like once you put them together. So I'm guessing this is probably like a base for the water-cooled plates.
That's what we were thinking, and when this was done, there were only 5, and then the 6th one showed up as a matter of fact, while we were doing the show and tell.
Wow, yeah, it's going to be really crazy when they put all this stuff down here, because it's a lot of steel that they have going on.
And the Ryan Hansen one is next level up.
Yeah, I think he deleted them.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, well, I imagine he probably is not ready to show them.
I was just going to say, not for prime time just yet.
Yeah, I was kind of surprised when you said you had Ryan's.
Go back to Chrome's for a second. If you look at the junction between the plates and look at the little sharp V there, that matches each of the legs.
For the launch mount?
Yep, they're remember the deflectors that are in front of the round legs?
Right.
The inside looks like it fits right in there.
Yeah, that would make sense.
And then we're thinking the piece that's in the not the integration tent. You got me doing it now. The inventory tent. This is center section is being built in there.
Mhm. Yeah, this is going to be interesting once they roll all this out. Like I said, I'm a little bit behind on that particular project right now, so I'm like, I haven't had time to like scheme on what that actually like why that's needed. Let me see if I can find a better overhead shot of them. So there's two here, and then I think three. Is that three or two right there?
There's actually
Two.
5 right there.
Yeah, so we see 5 total. Two, and 1 to the right of where you are.
Yeah, then we have some smaller pieces right here, which are probably related to that, but not really sure exactly how.
Yeah, we couldn't figure that out. Nobody could figure that out either.
We also couldn't define if there was more than one laying on that pallet or just one piece of the smaller ones.
It looks like at least two, probably, possibly even three. Yeah, there's one. Yeah, I think it's two separate pieces right here.
But the size of those holes matches the size of the bolts, but the distance between them was way too close. So that threw us all off.
Yeah, this is going to be really cool watching them put that down here. Like I said, it perfect time to do a double flyover once they start getting all that stuff down here. And over here we have a massive amount of rebar still waiting, and there's even more further down. But yeah, this is going to be the interesting part once they get all that in there, because that's going to be a pretty big job to throw all that rebar down.
You see the short segments in the middle?
Yeah.
I bet you that's how thick that pad's going to be.
That would make sense.
So that's like 8 foot thick or thicker pad.
That's pretty hefty.
Yeah.
And so there'll be a pile cap underneath or around the OLM? Is that what we're saying?
Yeah, let's hold off on that just for a few minutes. We'll talk about the tank farm really quick, and then we'll go back to the OLM stuff. So that's my fault for bringing us over to that area. But yeah, let's move to the tank farm expansion, or whatever you want to call it. More like a remodel. So they're still placing all of these CFA piles in the ground, and I wish I had an updated total on it, but there's a lot. I think it's into the hundreds now. I wonder if Fix has the full list right now. But yeah, they've got a ton of these down here. You can see some of them in the this front row. There's, I think, possibly three rows of them in here, maybe even more.
There's like 20 of the cages sitting on the ground right there that are semi-built.
Yeah.
There and up above.
This makes no sense to me. And the reason I say that is because in this part right here, where they're about to throw that other tank, they didn't do any of that work. So I don't understand why it's necessary for here and not for here.
Well, it could be that the ground borings in this area are just really, really bad compared to what it is on the other side. Now, remember, when they first started to develop this site, this is about the edge of where they had the huge dirt pile built up. It didn't go to the left very far, but it went from here over to the right where they had that huge mound of dirt, right?
When? You mean like when they were first developing the site?
2015, when they first developed the site. They mounded up the dirt like 30, 40 feet high over here to press out the water, remember?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Hard to remember exactly what location that was, though. But I think you're probably right. It was right in this area.
It was right in front of it. Was right where the landing pad is, where it kind of ended.
Interesting. I'm going to go back and review some of those images.
But there's obviously something different with the subsoils here compared to elsewhere, because they really are going crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's just odd because it's like 20 meters away. Like I don't get why why it's such a large difference between those with that close to spacing.
Actually, it doesn't really surprise me. I've seen 20 feet away, and you have different subsoil conditions, and it's just your test borings say you got to do it here. You didn't have to do it there. People go, why? I don't know. It's all in the borings.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the tanks that are here will be larger than what we're expecting.
That's a possibility too. But they got to be awful big for all those footings.
Yeah.
That's just crazy. I mean, it's such a huge amount of pilings.
Yeah, definitely unexpected, I would say. It'll be interesting once they start the pile cap down here, because they'll have to dig out all of this dirt and then throw that pile cap underneath it. So hopefully when they do that, we'll be able to see exactly how many of them there are down here. Yet another good reason to get another flyover in this week. So we'll see how that goes. Oh, this is just steel from there's the doghouse. I don't know what these are. Oh, I think these are the old steel pieces from the OLM work platform. That's what that looks like. Anyways, moving a little bit further to the west over here, or east, I guess. They are doing a lot of work in front of the tank farm. So obviously, when they extend all of those tanks down there, they're going to have to redo, specifically for the liquid nitrogen and liquid oxygen, everything related to filling these tanks will have to get moved over there. So right now, I'm assuming this will still be kept as the offload point, but instead of offloading into tanks that are like right next to it, it'll have to go all the way down here. So it looks like they're preparing to start that manifold that will go all the way down to that area. And so they're doing a lot of that pre-construction work down here right now. Some interesting manifolds down here, like this one right here, which is like a double T. I'm trying to think if I've seen that anywhere, but I haven't. So I'm like kind of confused what this is for. But yeah, whoa, what is that? I think that's a water pump. Or sorry, this is maybe one of the heat exchangers, possibly for the fluids bunker or something. Yeah.
I mean, they're bringing so much stuff in, and that area is so crowded, and everybody's watching. There's so much going on, you can't pay attention to see where it comes in and where it came from. So it's tough to catch everything nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, I'm wondering exactly like how all the rest of this will progress, because once they remove these tanks, I imagine they'll replace them with something. Like I wonder if they'll actually just leave them here inactive, or if
Oh,
they'll actually remove them.
one of the things we missed in the ground photos from Sanchez is the company that built the outer shells here has rebrought their equipment back. And they've
Really?
got two containers over at Sanchez. They're stacked double high up there, but the same company that fabricated those is back. And we
Well,
think they might
that's
be doing the
interesting.
repair on those dents as a minimum.
Huh. Yeah, let's move to the other side of these so we can see. This might be one that we want to look at from the ground. Let me see if I have some ground images of this. So it'll probably be somewhere in here. Yikes. It's like Frankenstein. Man, that's crazy. So this is, you can see all of the little tabs that they put on here so they can pull this back out. And so over the last 2 weeks or so, they every time they pulled out a section, there would still be like another dent somewhere else, like right here. They would add another one of those and then pull that section out. And so you could see how many different areas they had to attach those in order to actually pull this back out. But it looks decent in comparison to what it used to. I mean,
I mean, it's
man,
hard to
so tough
imagine
to look
those
at.
stiffeners are going to do really hold that together. Like you said, it looks like Frankenstein with a bad stitch job.
Yeah, I mean, man, and you can tell this is a temporary job, like with just the way that they did this. They're just trying to keep it up there so that they don't have to do anything before the next launch.
Yeah,
But
that's probably the case.
yeah, I mean, these will obviously go away. So it's just a temporary job to make sure that it's stable while they're constructing everything else. But it's good to see that they've got most of the dents out. Now that they have that, though, you can see that this. I mean, it was already obvious that this tank took a little more hits than everything else, but you can really see like how many puncture marks they have on this thing. Definitely got it worse than every other tank. And I'll move back to that aerial shot. Um, so yeah, they've been doing a little bit more work in the tank farm as well too. So they've got a new line that's coming through here and down through the ground. They like dug up the concrete right here, and I think there's like a tiny underground culvert or something. But you can see that this pipe goes down under through there, and then kind of runs to nothing. I don't know. It's tough to see where that goes. I think it's coming back through here to the front of the tank farm, which is really odd. It almost looks like a drainage pipe. Just because of the fact that it's coming in this area. So they do have other pipes like that, like these ones that are kind of like for the prime up process where you're draining, where you want all your gases to come out while you're trying to cool down the pipes. And so this kind of looks very similar to that, except it's much bigger than the other ones. So we're going to have to keep an eye on that one.
Could it be a water supply pipe that's going to skirt around the outside on the east of the OLM and go around that way rather than across the pad?
Mm,
It's a kind of small pipe, but
yeah, I mean, it's possible. Like right now, um, it's tough because there's like the two outlets for the water tanks are right here.
yeah.
So, I mean, it is very possible that these are going back to the water tanks. It's tough to see where it goes once it's back here. Um, yeah, I mean, it is a possibility. I mean, having to go all the way around the OLM to get there though is interesting. I almost would expect them. Well, it's probably equally difficult to go back the other direction around all of this stuff. So yeah, it is definitely a possibility.
You got to go through the CH4 area. It might be easier. Just go to the right.
At that point, I would almost expect them to just bring trucks in to that area down there and fill up those tanks. And let's actually go down there and look at it. I wanted to make sure that I'm not missing anything else in here though. I think we pretty much touched on all of this stuff. There's not really much else going on down here. Oh, hey, never mind. I was gonna say they got rid of the FTS tent, but it's still there, the little trailer. All right, I'll move down to the backside of the orbital pad. So, yeah, I mean, having to come all the way around the launch mount down here, that's a big path. It is the shortest one, though, arguably. So that could be very well what they're going to do. Just come along the edge right here, all the way to those tanks. And so that would be their way of filling these tanks. And as of right now, or today, we now know where those two very large horizontal tanks are going. So they've got, I don't see them in this image. There was two cradles basically for those tanks to sit on that go right on these two locations. And so we were definitely expecting another tank, more tanks to arrive here. Honestly, I kind of thought it would be some slightly larger ones, but not as large as what we're about to see. So they're very, very long tanks, almost similar to the methane tanks. I don't know if they're quite that large, but they must be heavier at least because the way they're transporting them. Yeah, but we have those tanks are currently being mounted right now as we speak. So with two additional water tanks, that's kind of interesting. So I wonder what the actual volume comparison is between the four of these versus the two of those. But in my opinion, I think we're kind of looking at possibly a two-stage water system, which is interesting because as far as the water-cooled plates go, we really only can see a purpose for one of them so far, like one stage of water But usually with a lot of water deluge systems, they have different stages as far as like before launch one kicks on, and then after it leaves the pad, the above ground one kicks in as well too. So it could be something like that, but we really haven't seen anything for that second stage yet, other than this pipe right here, which if I look at that from another angle, let's find a good angle.
I was thinking that potentially it could be two separate systems, one for the bottom and one for the top. That was my thought.
Yeah, and my last YouTube episode, I was thinking that they may have that system for the top. It doesn't look like they're set up for that, but they very well could be. And that would be really awesome to actually see something like that. So it would definitely explain why this is definitely something's going aerial, So it'll be interesting to see this once it's complete. And this is a lot taller than it looks like as well too. So actually, wait, that's the short side.
Though it might be turned, if you flip it 180 degrees, it could be going down into that pit too, under the OOM.
Right, that would make sense.
Except the long leg is too long, almost.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of fabrication work on these pipes down here. So the ones that were worked on at the Sanchez site, these ones were brought down last week. I think last week. But we've got even more of them that have arrived. Let's see, are there more in this image? Let's see. No, there's not. Oh, sorry, down here. There they are. Yeah, tons of water pipes down here. So this is a very large system, and obviously we expected more pipe work to show up. And once they get that layer of concrete under the OLM, which we'll look at here in a bit, definitely would expect these to be brought in first before they do the concrete work around it, like all of the form work. I'm assuming the concrete will go around these. So we'll probably see all of the water pipes placed first before they do the form work, but that's just my theory. Beyond that, all of these new canisters, these gas canisters that showed up, really odd for me because they're all different sizes. So there's I think 6 different sizes in here. Makes no sense. But we did see, so the piece that we talked about earlier in the episode, that I can show again here, the little manifold section right here with all of the pipes sticking out of it. So we do have an image that showed it getting, this is tough to look at, but it was getting lifted into place behind the actual canisters. So also another thing you can see in here, there's a manifold on top of the actual tanks now. So if I go back to that aerial shot, this white manifold right here is now on top of these tanks. I think it's
in the middle.
In the middle, yeah. So these are, go ahead.
And they put that valve on the end of it last night. If you go back to that last shot, you can see the valve.
Right, yeah, the valve on the end right here.
Yeah, that went on last night.
Yeah, so that the other manifold with all the pipes on the backside are for one of these 2 banks of canisters. So on the backside of it, and I probably have a really good ground image of this. See if I can find one down here. And I'm actually searching through a bunch of thumbnails up top, so sorry if I know you guys can't see that, but I'm looking through the images right now to find what I need. And there we go. So yeah, you can see the manifold on the top of the tanks right now. And then as PK was saying, they added that valve onto the end. I'm guessing there's another one on this side as well too. So it almost looks like this is meant to also fill the other 2 tanks, which would make sense. Like you don't need 2 separate supplies for either one.
You've mentioned 2 tanks. There's actually 3 positions over there, by the way. Yeah, there are three mounts on each side.
So let me hold on. That's the wrong picture. Um,
It's wide, narrow, wide,
right.
narrow,
Yeah.
wide.
Interesting. So I wonder where the third one is.
Maybe that's the one on the boat.
The one that wasn't that a different size? I think that was.
Well, so what? The ones the two are different size than these guys. Who knows? Or there's a third tank coming from somewhere we haven't seen yet, or a future.
Yeah, honestly, I was expecting another one to come down. Whatever it was being used for, I thought there needed to be another one. This is definitely the last thing I expected them to be used for. I guess until they started putting those the mounting brackets on here, which aren't in this image, but yeah, I don't think we can see them in the ground shot. No, they're not in the ground shot yet. Oops, sorry about that. Not in the ground shot in this image. Let's see, move to the left a little bit. Oh, wow. Not where I was expecting to go. Maybe there's one more to the. Yeah, you can't. They're not up here at all yet. But as far as those manifolds that we were talking about, so all of the canisters on the back, they have these outlets on them. So you're gonna have to like connect all of these together and then deliver that gas to the tanks in order to push the water out. So yeah, that's going to be quite the manifold to connect all that stuff. There's probably going to be a second one, which we haven't seen yet, I don't believe. And possibly even a third, since they have even more of these canisters on the ground, although we're not 100% sure where those ones are going to go.
Yeah, Dave was saying of the black canisters, there's an equal number of those sitting around that were here at one point and have disappeared.
Um, for these ones?
Yeah, the black canisters up at the top.
Mm-hmm.
There's a like number of those that were here also that have disappeared. There were 72 of them, and I think that pile's 36.
Between the two of these?
No, just the
I
black.
thought there was 76 pipes, 76 canisters total between the white and blacks was what there originally was.
Okay, well, maybe I misunderstood Dave then.
Interesting. Yeah, this is really cool though. I mean, it's a one of a kind system that we haven't really seen, even though it's kind of a principle that's like taken from, was it Slick 40? But just being used for a completely different purpose. So yeah, this is going to be way more intense than what all of us have imagined, because with it being a two-stage system, we just, like I said, still haven't seen what the second half of it is. So really any renders that we've seen that show it are all wrong, because we don't even know what the second half of the system looks like. But we're about to find out. We're getting pretty close here. So I imagine now that they have those tanks up here, I'm assuming they probably already put the manifold down there. If they maybe not, because they haven't done any concrete work down here yet. So the actual manifold that will connect the tanks that go on top of this, I don't know where it's at. It was. Wasn't it like right in this area before? I don't know what they did with it. That's interesting.
What is it you're looking for? I'm sorry.
There was another manifold down here to connect these tanks together, but it's gone.
Oh,
Oh,
okay.
yeah, there was a pipe underneath it. Now, yeah, it's gone. Yeah, it was
Basically like this, but bigger.
yes, there was one there.
How does something that big just disappear?
It's SpaceX magic.
I feel like it's just got to be around here somewhere. I wonder if it's underneath these tanks right here, if we just can't see it. But I don't think so. Well, that's a mystery. I'm gonna have to do some searching for that. But yeah, moving over to this area down here, I mentioned all of the rebar, and they have even more of it down here. Now we're getting into the actual OLM stuff, which is also related to that down there. But yeah, we have all of this embeds down here, which are going to be going underneath the launch mount. So there's all these different sizes of embeds, which are really interesting, just the different types of embeds that they have down here. But these are going to go in after they get all of this rebar work down here. So that, I mean, this rebar combined with what's over in this area, and there's, geez, even more down there. Let me, yeah, even more down here. This is going to be a very big job.
There were
Oh,
some
wow.
trucks that arrived up
There it is.
yesterday
How did I
too.
not see that? There's a manifold. I was like, how does something that big just disappear? Yeah, so I'm surprised that if this isn't already underneath those tanks, but I guess not. Yeah, so this manifold right here, oops, sorry, zoomed out a little quick there. This manifold right here should go under there.
Yes.
In between those other tanks. And that's going to be interesting. Like when we saw those tanks, I don't remember seeing an outlet on them that big. So,
There was not.
Yeah, that's
They're
interesting.
going to have to modify them, and there's no slab to support that manifold either yet.
Huh. I wonder if the reason they're mounting them up there right now is just so they can place them while they're working on it from below and adding those, doing what they need to add those outlets on them. That's kind of interesting. I'm guessing they're not double-walled tanks in that case. But yeah, that's like a very custom job in that case.
Well, that's what they did with the center manifold on these four. They had that under there, and then they lowered it down, and then they rechanged the fittings and then put it back up, I believe.
Super custom job, but I mean, most stuff out here is, but that's even a bigger custom job modifying those tanks. Let's get up underneath the OLM, shall we?
Let's do it.
So we have the first of the blinding layer down here. So this is basically just a small concrete pad that they put down in order to have a surface to work on. So it's basically like the first layer. And what they do is they actually crop down these caissons. So you can see down here is one of them that used to be up high like these ones, and they actually have cut it down. And that's what they'll do on the rest of them. So they cut it down to the height of the blinding layer, and then everything above it ties into the rebar, essentially. The rebar that will go all down here. So yeah, this is part one of the blinding layer. They still got to go all over here and underneath it. Wonder how much of that's been done at this point.
Well, one of the things they've been doing in the last day and a half is where that crane is right at the bottom there, that excavator.
Mhm.
They've put in a whole line of
Sheet pilings.
piles all the way around that side. And then they've started to dig that out. They're getting ready to dig that out because that's all terraced right there now.
Right. So it's just along the perimeter of this.
Yep.
Wow. That is going to be so much concrete. Like this is I think it's probably even larger than what the base of the Mega Bay as far as like total concrete that'll probably be down here.
Well, remember the OLHC has 5-foot walls in it. Remember how much that pour was. So this is going to make that look small.
Yeah, that'll probably take like a week just to get all that in there. Not really. It'll probably be less than that. But still, you're talking about like an 8-foot thick pad. It'll be a while. But if I move around to the other side of this a little bit, so we can kind of see where all the pile caps are, so, or not the pile caps, the sheet piling. So you can see that this line of it right here. I was a little confused on this part. The rest of it makes sense. So most of it, like this right down here, is skirts around where the culvert is. So I don't think the concrete will go all the way to the top wall of this. I think it's just it'll probably come up about the level like where the dirt is down here. And then I believe they'll cut the rest of this off once they're done with that. But you can kind of see on the backside over here. Let me get a So down here they've added it as well too, and this is, you can actually even see the culvert right there. And they have the sheet piling going along the culvert to kind of protect that. So yeah, I mean, I wonder, it's kind of interesting to me the way they're doing that. I mean, it makes sense to kind of protect this culvert, or if I don't know if it's really just all about creating like a base pan essentially for all of this that's going to go on down here. But yeah, that's a lot of heavy work down there. And I believe they'll probably extend it right to go all the way around. But then you have there's underground conduit down here. So I don't know what they're going to do once they get in this middle area.
They had an excavator in there last night digging down. It was just one of the smaller excavators, and he was reaching down as far as his boom would go and bringing it out bucket by bucket. So I think they have put sheet piles in there because he was scraping up against something and he was going down right. He was right on the edge of it.
What's the deal with all this framework over here?
Isn't there conduit? Isn't that a conduit run that goes in there? It's probably there to support that conduit box, the concrete conduit box. That's where all the electric comes in.
Yeah. Hmm. So you think they're going underneath it or something?
I think yes, because if you look on the left-hand side, you can see that the water level down below there is below what appears to be the edge of that box.
It's a lot of support just to keep that up in the air.
Yeah, it's just to support it till they underpin it with the concrete.
Wow. Yeah, this is a huge job. And as far as like when we were talking about the whole two-stage thing, like I would expect that second stage to involve the top of the launch mount in some way, but we don't really see too much prep work for that. So it's really interesting how that's going to work.
It's been reported somebody had seen a second, how they had the FireX pipe and that they pulled out the flex duct, and that somebody said they'd seen a picture of them installing a second horizontal pipe around the OLM, the bottom of the OLM platform.
Yeah, they've been doing that for a few weeks now. So there's another pipe. I don't think it's right here. But we have to move around the OLM a little bit to kind of see it better. There's one down here, and I think it actually comes up under the. I don't know if it goes into the table right there, but it definitely does from the other side. It goes up by the QD. I'm surprised they still haven't removed the pipework from the old Raptor Chill collection line. But we also have. I'm just looking for it. It's tough to see where the flex hoses for the water system was. I don't like with all the scaffolding up here. Let me see if I can find another angle of it. Can't really see it from that side either.
Well, that was at such a weird angle the way it was run around there. It's either missing and they pulled it out, but they haven't replaced it with solid pipe yet. Because
Yeah,
it was really noticeable because of the strange angles it was run at.
yeah. I feel like it's just gone.
Yeah, maybe they just pulled it out for now.
Well, I mean, there's a chance that it's just not needed anymore. Um, I mean, I personally expected them to have both systems because they both have two separate jobs. But because if you're using the nitrogen to force out the water, you're not going to have nitrogen coming out with the water. You're basically backfilling it. So, like, I figured they would still want that nitrogen system for detonation suppression. But I don't know. Maybe with the change in procedure with the way that they actually test doing like spin primes and stuff like that, it may not be necessary for them to have that anymore, and like just the fire suppression system might be enough. Uh, but yeah, with all of the scaffolding up here, it is really difficult to tell what's still up there. Going back to that aerial shot. We can also see that they've still not replaced the clamps, but they do have all of the Raptor QDs in there. Looks like there's like some kind of tape on the edges of them or something like that.
So before you get too far, Jake wants to make sure you see this, which is that you can see it behind the new staircase, the new solid pipework replacing the flex hoses.
Okay, let me go back to that. I may have to come to, I don't know if this is it right here. Kind of tough to tell. Maybe I need another angle.
Is he talking about that stainless pipe right above the white?
Yeah, that's,
Yeah,
I
he
mentioned
says you
this
found
one.
it.
I'm guessing he's talking about this down here. Yeah, so this one
The
right here
black
goes
pipework,
around
he's
to the front of the or by the QD, and I'm guessing that's one down there.
Yeah, the
Maybe
black
if
one
I
is
need
what
a
he's
better
referring
angle.
to.
Okay, cool. Tough to see, but yeah, that's really just goes to show that the flex hose that was down there initially was kind of just temporary and something that they could do quickly in order to meet that need that they had. So yeah, I mean, with actual pipe work like this, I wonder if they'll uh, be able to actually like add shielding around this once they're finished. That'll be interesting. I'm also wondering if this stairway is permanent or if it's going to come back down, because they'll probably have to do some modifications to the outside of this in order to like put a box over it so that uh, you know, it's covered. So it'll be interesting to see what they end up doing with that. I'm going to go back to that aerial shot though. So yeah, I mean they're about halfway done, I would say, with the stuff that they have to swap out for Booster 9. So we still haven't seen them replace the flex hoses back here, but they at least have the QDs up here. I don't know if we've seen the flex hoses get brought back in either to the ones that go on the inside of the launch mount. But yeah, they're definitely making tons of progress with this, and it's kind of awesome to see that happening alongside all of the stuff that's going on the ground. It's definitely a massive undertaking, everything that they're doing, and also happening very quickly. I mean, um, it's faster in my opinion than I was expecting, but still not as fast as what they were saying it would be. So,
You
what
can
was that?
see all that terracing on the left of the dirt being terraced down into the hole
Right?
on the left-hand side there.
Is that just they're just doing it in layers, like you know,
That
riding up in?
that was just to keep it from collapsing in, and now they've got the sheet piles in that continued the sheet pile around. Now that's all going to get dug out. It's like a
Yeah,
strip mine being stripped.
I feel like we could even do another flyover right now, and it would still show a lot of changes.
Hourly.
Straight up.
Yeah. If you look up in the upper right-hand corner of this photograph, the metal section laying on the ground right there, upper right corner.
This.
Yep, that's installed already.
Where is it at?
It goes on the corner of the towards Raptor Roost on the OLIT. It's
So like over here.
the other side, the other next far corner.
Let's go to the side. So is it like right here, or is
Yep.
it on this?
Yeah, it's right on that pad right
Oh,
there.
yeah, you can see the pad for it. Nice. Yeah, that's about where I was expecting it would go. That makes a lot of sense. Because I don't think they've had stairs to get up into that area at all, anyways. So it makes a lot of sense that they'd throw that down there. Um, Interesting. Another thing that we have this week, and I may be able to see this in the ground shots, they have gotten the elevator going again. So inside of the tower, they have you can see the new elevator rail behind this. So that's back in service now, which is great news. They don't have to use the the aerial lifts in order to get all the way up there now. So that's great progress. I'm sure they were really happy to have that back in there.
Yeah, they can go working when the wind's blowing more than 15 miles an hour.
Right? Oh, that's good to know that that's down there. I haven't seen that. Really weird how much stuff happens if you like stop paying attention for a week. So
I'm surprised you haven't gotten like withdrawal symptoms.
I have, but doing full-time YouTube now, like taking a month off in between videos is like a big deal for me as far as like financially. So had to put all my effort into getting this next episode out because it definitely has a big effect on me, with the issues that I had with my computer. So just trying to bounce back from that still, and didn't expect to take so long in between episodes. So been a bit of a difficult few weeks. So hopefully I'll be all caught up by the time we do the show next week. But yeah, like I said, not paying attention for a full week straight. It's kind of crazy just coming back and seeing how much everything has changed. So yeah, I mean, but next time we have flyover, this blinding layer will be down here. I wouldn't be surprised if that's actually done like early in the week, because they seem to be moving pretty quickly. So yeah, did you guys have anything else you wanted to mention down here that I haven't touched on? We can probably go through some more ground images as well too. And I don't think we've touched on questions in quite a while.
Questions and donations. PK, did you have anything to add before I get into the questions and donations?
No, I didn't.
Okay. I will start off with the donations. We have a $5.50 Canadian dollar donation from Drew Nar, and it moved. Hold, please. And they say there's a question associated with this one. So the question is, if they put solar panels on Starbase Factory, do you think that they'll spell out Starbase like the Gigafactory says Tesla? And thank you for the donation.
If anything, they would probably spell out SpaceX.
Elon? I'm just kidding. Rocket Prophet donated $10 and says, he's such a goob. He says, time to slink some green and make some friends. Rocket Prophet, the joke's old, let it go. Just kidding. There's also John Dopker who donated $2 and says, show some RGV love and hit that like button, y'all. So once again, if you are enjoying what you hear and you do want to get notified of these episodes, please do hit the like button and also hit the notification bell so you'll be reminded. And that's it for the donations. I'll start with the questions. Oh, so there was a question from Mark C, and he's asking, is there any risk to the windows on a launch? So when we were looking at the build site, when we were looking at the Mega Bay windows, excuse me.
I don't think so. I mean, oops. Let's see. That's not what I wanted. This one. I don't think so. I mean, it's all right. Well, let me take that back. So if you have an actual like failure on the pad where you lose the whole vehicle, yeah. But the windows are the least of your concerns if that happens. I would imagine that you would lose a few windows, but you're going to lose a lot more infrastructure than windows if that happens. So normal launch noises, I don't think it'll be an issue.
We haven't lost any high bay windows, right? Sorry, PK.
Yeah. And remember, the windows are designed for probably 145 miles an hour sustained gusts.
Yes, but they're not designed for shockwaves from the world's largest rocket. So they'll be fine during regular launches. You see the high bay looks just fine. So, oops. Yeah, so I don't think we'll see any issues with that.
Fair enough. There's a question from Leo L, and he's asking, how do they plan to recover the water during and after a launch?
Recover what?
The water.
The water.
I think it will vaporize into steam. There won't be any recovery needed.
Yeah, I mean, the first initial spraying, like before the engines turn on, is going to be quite a bit, but it'll be almost like a heavy rainstorm as far as like how much water is going on out here. Well, I don't know. It could be like 33 times more water than what we were seeing in that video from SpaceX. So it will be quite a lot of water. I imagine any collection will probably happen down in this area. Like right now, this area is not for water collection, even though it looks like it. It's actually for the Raptor Chill drain pit. So we don't know if they're still going to be collecting Raptor Chill. If not, then this would be the area that makes the most sense for water collection. So
I think it's going to vaporize the steam and or be blasted away into rain droplets when the rocket hits it.
yeah, I mean, I agree with that for sure. So I mean, it's it'll be puddling up for a few seconds, but like once, I mean, most of it's going to be going in the air as well too. So it'll be spraying upwards and not be flowing downwards like most deluge systems do. So yeah, I mean, it may not be actually necessary to really even have collection, but when they build the rest of this back up, we'll probably get a good idea on whether or not they're like grading it down towards this area. So actually putting a slope a bit down so that it's kind of being guided towards here. But again, that may not be necessary. I'm not sure.
Fair point. So I don't know if you can hear cats like tumbling over each other behind me. Daniel H. asks, do you know what the vertical steel lattice behind the tower is going to be used for?
The
I think he might be referring to the staircase that they just put in.
yeah, I mean, so let's look at a ground shot, see if I can show the front of it. I don't know if he got in that in the wetlands to see that or not. Let's see.
Behind behind the mega bay. There were some ladder platform or stair platforms being built back there.
Oh, okay. Um, yeah, so these ones. So right now they're going to be, so the actual stairways inside of the mega bay only reach up to like a certain level, and honestly, the ground shot is the best way to show that. So they only reach a certain level within the mega bay because there was really no reason for them to go all the way up to the top floor. So they didn't have, they have the elevators that go up to the top, but as far as the stairs go, I think they ended potentially right at this level right here, and so or they could even be at this level. That would make a little more sense that they're like right up here below the bridge crane in the corner, the front, left, and right corners. But and let's just assume that it's like right here along this crease. They still have to get up there to the actual. I don't even know what you want to call this. Like just their work area up there. So once they have this finished on the inside, they're going to want to actually be able to get up there. Well, they're going to have no choice but to have stairs up there. So those slanted stairs are probably the last of what's needed to get up to this area. And so the actual hole for the stairway is like right in here. So it's in the middle of the floor. So there's like one right here, and there's, oh wow, sorry. It's actually this. I can see the windows now. So it's actually could be right where this window's out. There's probably it's more towards the middle, but the holes for where the stairs come through. So the stairs are over here in the corner, and they have to reach the hole that's over there. So that's why you have like, these slanted stairs kind of like that instead of they're longer than they would be for a normal stair run. And I think this is the last of the pieces that are needed to get it up there before they use the longer ones to get to the roof. Oh, that being said, that would make sense why, I mean, if Grover, I'm assuming will probably go inside of the Mega Bay soon with those pieces. Okay, here we have some more as well too.
Yeah,
Those look like ramps.
there's some horizontal catwalks that have to reach to the center of the building, and then the stairs will go up.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, with those openings you talked about.
Right. So you have, so the catwalk comes across, and then there's another stair that comes all the way up to the top. And you need that on both sides. The only thing that I don't like about this building is that there's no balcony. But
Could that be a
probably
yet though?
What?
Could that be a yet? There's no balcony yet.
I mean, yeah, that's possible, but I highly doubt they'll have a balcony up here. But it would be cool if it stretched around the whole outside of the building. Yeah, I guess we'll find out. It's not impossible.
Oh, while we're playing, where's the helicopter pad?
You mean the one that they bought from Rocket Lab? Just kidding.
All right. Do we have more questions at the launch site as well too, or was that
we do? We have a couple more questions. There are some random questions too. There was a question about, will there be a blast plate on the ship SF stand?
No. So right now they don't really. I mean, we've seen them do multiple static fires on the ship stands, and they seem to do just fine as far as withstanding 6 engines. So I don't think that we'll see anything like that under there. That would be a little aggressive, I think.
Yeah, the Fondag seems to have held up to the ship blasts. Or the static fires anyway.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Well, and then I'll close it up with, we have a $5 donation from James L., who says, love the pics.
That was not even the right picture I was supposed to be on. Sorry, thought I was showing you all some orbital pads there. But yeah, these seem to be fine.
And just a side note, it seems that
that.
I'm sorry, the new water tank seems to have arrived, I understand, right now.
A third one?
Yes, that's what I understood.
Well, all right. I have missed a ton.
No, I think there's only 2. There's still the one in front of Stargate sign and the one that they're installing now. I don't see a third one.
Interesting. This almost makes me want to fly down there so I can just see it all myself.
You know what's crazy is you can do that.
Yeah, with this being down there, I really do.
Yeah. I'm hoping I'll be able to go for the next launch, but we'll see.
What will happen first? The next launch or the next Nerdlefest?
The next launch, for sure.
For sure, yeah.
I'm hoping for July. I don't know about anybody else.
I got a free month in July. I don't have anything planned. I'm ready to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's...
Go ahead.
No, I was saying, I mean, it feels like July would be about when they start testing again. So end of August makes sense to me, or, maybe beginning of September for the launch. We'll see.
All I know is Thomas and I were talking, and PK just got a brand new, big, huge camper trailer that he can drive around and stuff. So we were talking about the next time he's headed to Starbase, we're just going to land in the spots that you are driving through, so you could just pick us up.
That's a deal.
Right. There is one more question, and it's not specific to the launch site, but the question is from Cosmic, and they want to know that they remember seeing the windows rattle in the control center. And the question is, do you think that they'll move the control center?
That control center was 5 miles away or 6 miles away.
I don't know how much farther away you want to go. At that point, you might as well just do it in Hawthorne. But
and it's a temporary building too. That wasn't designed for shaking and baking with rockets hitting it.
Yeah. I would love to see what the Mega Bay windows look like, and the High Bay windows look like from the inside when the launch is occurring. That would be pretty cool to see.
Oh, you mean when Elon invites you upstairs?
Well, nobody will be there during launch, but it'd be cool to see like how much they shake in comparison to at the control building, the mission control center.
Makes sense. We also just got a last minute donation from Thumper Tom42, who donated $10 and says, "Great coverage. Thanks."
Yeah, thank you to everyone who's donated. You guys are really amazing. It's really awesome having all the support every week. Definitely enables us to do what we do, especially taking the Saturdays away in the middle of the day to do these is really awesome to have the support to help us be able to do that. So thank you all.
Yes, thank you.
Cool. And I think there's probably a lot more stuff in the ground images. I don't know, I can't point anything out without going through each one individually because I haven't had a chance to actually see them. So
gives us something to look forward to for next week. We also got a donation.
Exactly.
We also got a donation from Jim Cabot, who says, great to see CSI Starbase back this week. In fact, that's been noted a few times in the chat. Everyone is very happy to have you back, Zach. As are we. Welcome back.
Hey, I appreciate all of you, and I'm glad to be back as well. And like I said, sorry for taking a week off. I'm just trying to get things back on the road. It's, like I said, been a difficult month, just trying to adjust after all the issues that I had with my computer, and that's pretty much everything relies on your computer. It's a pretty big deal, so I'm sure you all understand. And again, like I said, glad to be back. Still a little exhausted from everything that I've been doing to try and get caught up. If you guys can't tell, not high energy like I normally am. So, yeah.
I thought you were seamless. We can't tell.
We'll get there. Sorry, I was just noticing all of these dents on the berm. I never actually saw those in previous images. I didn't realize it was that bad.
That's not a person at the top, is it?
No. Maybe.
Weird. And is that a camera on the just to the right of whatever that is?
A camera.
Looks like it.
Looks like a video camera, like VHS style.
It looks like one of the Black Magic cameras type. I don't know. Could be. It's a good spot for one.
Be some view, that's for sure.
That looks like architecturally hammered concrete as a finish, something we used to do back in the 60s.
Is that a person?
That's what they
That's
say.
Not a person. That's
Retro
not a person.
is back in. They call it vintage now.
Now? I thought they always called it that.
Well, it just depends on the era, right?
One thing I did see this week, I didn't see them in the flyover images. I thought I saw a bunch more panels arrive for the launch tower, but I don't know where they went. So, yeah. I didn't see that in the aerials, but I guess be on the lookout for that. Maybe I don't know if it showed up after the flyover, if my days have been just going by that fast or not, but yeah, be on the lookout for that this week.
What are we looking for?
Look at that excavator right there in that picture.
This one?
The red one on the right.
This is PK's
See how far down he's deep, and he's going down even deeper than that when he scoops back in.
Yeah, I wish I knew how far down that is. I mean, it's easily 10 feet though, right?
Well, I believe the arms on that are at least 15 or 18 feet long per leg. So it's about 18 feet down in there.
Would love to see a ground image of that.
There was one of those guys had the foot marks marked on his boom, actually.
Yeah, I mean, seeing it from the air, you can't really tell how deep down it is, but I mean, 8 to 10 feet sounds, I mean, it could be even more than that. So.
Well, we know that we saw the rebar is going to be probably at least 8 foot thick for the cap. And then you got to put the plates on top of it. So they're probably 4 or 5 foot thick. So you're probably down 18 feet. Or not 18, but 15 anyway, 16 at a minimum.
Right. Yeah, I mean, all of this rebar that all this rebar that they're going to have to put down over this next few weeks is going to be a lot of work. And these are the ones you were talking about, which are the vertical. We're assuming might be the vertical ones. Yeah.
Yeah, simply because of the length of them. And then there's a third, two more piles of those to the right in that first pile on the right-hand side,
Are you talking about this?
towards the white pickup truck, straight down,
Oh, the small.
right in that pile there. There's a bunch of 8-footers in there too, up above, right next, right there.
There's got to be a bunch down here too, right? No, not really. Yeah, I really wish I could just like watch it from the ground view. I wish they would share what it looks like down there when they're doing this.
Well, they say that SpaceX is listening, so perhaps you can put in a request.
They won't do that, but that would be awesome. One drone shot would be cool as they're like after they get all that formed out. That would be really awesome. But we'll have some decent aerials over the next few weeks from Mauricio, especially if we get a second flyover during the week. Fingers crossed.
They did label the ring yard for him, so maybe they'll put something here for you. And I'm kidding, but not kidding.
Awesome. Well, if we don't have any other questions, I think we may wrap this show up.
We're also a minute over.
Well, time's nothing. Actually, I am going to actually get out and enjoy Saturday for once in a while. So either way, it is awesome to be here this week again. Like I said, tons of updates to cover, and hopefully you guys got a lot out of the show as always. Being able to see this stuff from the air is like definitely a privilege, I would say, because any other launch site on the planet, you don't really get this kind of coverage. I mean, I would say the closest thing that you get to this at all anywhere is what Joe Tegmeyer does with the Tesla Gigafactory in Austin. I mean, as far as like daily, he does daily flyovers, but getting directly over a facility, nobody really cares about many other facilities on the planet enough to actually get out and do this stuff. So it's really awesome that we have this ability, especially at arguably one of the most futuristic launch sites on the planet. So it's really, really awesome every week to be able to continue to do this.
And Joe actually heard you and donated $9.99 just now as you said that. Thank you,
Hey, Joe. Thanks for being with us. Yeah, shout out to Joe. He does really awesome work out there in Austin. So, yeah, I feel like I was thinking about Joe a lot during this episode that I'm working on because I'm like, do people really going to care about the stuff that I'm talking about right here? But then I'm like, well, he does a very similar thing as far as talking about infrastructure. So, yeah, it'll be a fun one.
There's also Greg Scott who does the flyovers in Florida.
Yeah, very true. Very true. I'm glad to see him back as well, too, because I know he was gone for a while dealing with some sickness. So glad he's back in business.
Yay, shout out to all of our flyover pilots.
Yeah, definitely appreciate every single one of them. So, yeah, with that, I guess that's all for me for this week. And again, thank you to everybody who donated. And also make sure you guys hit that like button if you haven't done that. We like I said, we try not to say it too often during the show because I know sometimes it gets kind of overwhelming seems like you're like farming, but it does actually help us out and help spread the word a little bit. If you guys want to share the show with some of your friends who you think might enjoy this, I know we're all super nerds when it comes to sitting here for 3 hours talking about everything, every incremental development at Starbase, but you could be surprised at how other people might be interested in this stuff. So appreciate you guys sharing this with your friends and being with us every week. So thank you all, and I'll pass it off to PK.
Thanks, everybody, for showing up. I'm not Thomas, but I try, and I have to bring a different perspective than he does. So no rabbit holes from me. Anyway, have a good day, everybody. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.
And with that, I will say, main engine cut off, stage separation confirmed. Thank you all for joining us. On behalf of Mauricio, Thomas, Zach, Philakid, who I call PK, we all call PK, and everybody else who is a part of the stream, Joe and Rocket Prophet, Astro Joe and Rocket Prophet, we want to say thank you and hope to see you next week. Love you. Bye.